Hey, good morning and welcome back to the Dennis Herrera Show. Had a lot of errands to do this morning, but got all done and got set up. We have a couple of things to go over. I want to say thank you to every single one of you guys joining me here on the portrait mode or on the landscape mode. Either way, you get to hear and watch the same things. I am trying to do the multi-streaming so that you guys can have a variety of which you choose. I will say the most interactive so far is the portrait mode, but the landscape mode gives you a better view when we are reviewing videos or clipping news and articles and things like that. So I will recommend that at some point you would consider watching the landscape mode. But with that being said, welcome, welcome, welcome. Let me go ahead and get a couple of things situated here because I do want to be able to chat on both parts of the stream. Even though the portrait is going to be the most busy one, I still want to be able to chat to some other people as we're watching videos. Give me a second here. Got to update the portrait mode. There we go. Now we can have the matching photo. And we'll do we'll do that right there. Yeah. All right, cool. Now I'm going to see if I can get logged in here so that I can chat with you guys. There we go. See, I knew it because on the on the landscape mode, I don't see anybody. But on the portrait, Robert, good afternoon. Ozzy, good afternoon. I hope that you guys been watching your other podcasters and other conservatives who are telling the truth or at least trying to make sense of all the craziness that's going on. We have a lot of controversial with many things in life, and as many people say, you know how it is with Trump. When people push him hard and they doubt him, that's when he works and fights the hardest. And I've said this many times, and people don't believe me, but President Trump and I have the same personality, so to speak. In a way of yes, we can both be entrepreneur. My dreams are different than his, and yes, I should be looking for money. If you don't look for money, you're gonna stay broke and poor for the rest of your life. But the difference is that he has money. He's a billionaire, and I am just a hardworking class American trying to make a living by doing his hustle here. Which, by the way, I thank you, members, thank you, subscribers, and for those of you who support me, because if you guys don't know, maybe I'll do a members only so that you can see all the garbage that I have in here. It's not garbage, but that's the way the leftists look at it. And then that way you guys can see the mess that I have with me here every day. So I got my coffee, and then I got my monitor and screen where we watch our videos, and then I got my second monitor where I actually have all the news and things that I want to go through. And here I have the monitor where I can take and see what the scenes look like, etc. And then I have, of course, my laptop so that I can check all the settings and analytics on my show. So with that being said, hey, thank you guys for being here. You guys will get to see my setup here on my next members live. So if you haven't become a member and you're nosy and you want to see what the hell I'm talking about, I will go ahead and show you so that you can see my little setup here. Let's see. Tanya, good morning, sis. How are you? God bless you. Rondio, good morning. Catwalk on the landscape mode, representing over there, making sure that the chat is not alone. That the chat is not alone. I got to make sure that I remember which one is which. All right, and then let me see who else do we got in here. Good morning, sis. It's so good to see you. You know that I miss my sister Trinity from Tennessee. She was such a blessing to me. Always gave me good advice. Always, pray for me. And man, she took something. Just she took on this task, and it's taken all of her time. Trinity is such a good woman. She really is. She is just beautiful in and out. Her daughter is just amazing. She was just beautiful, gorgeous. And man, she has her hands full. Let me just say that. And I pray that she come back, and that we're able to talk with her again. Trinity is very special to me, and I'm sure she is to many of the brothers in here. I know that all of you guys miss her, that know her already. She is a fighter. She is an encyclopedia with information. Yeah. So keep her in your prayers. And Tanya, I don't know, just for some reason, it just having you here makes everything feel a little bit better. I wish that I can explain to you why that is, but that's just the way that I feel. Okay, all right, and then let's see what else we got. Brian, what's up? Oh man, I don't know, for some reason, Brian, you got a beautiful, lovely family. I think you're amazing. Man, you guys have no idea. I want to hang out with here. I'm going to put you guys on the spot, and I hope it's okay. Listen, this is just the way that I look at it. Okay, there's certain people that have won my heart over. And I know that at any given time, anybody can betray me and backstab me and all these other stuff. But let me tell you something. If I go and I spend some time with Robert, I know to expect some many stories and probably jokes, right? And that's what I can expect from Robert, and I feel like I'd be there sitting there with an old friend. And with Brian, just seeing you and your lovely family, I can definitely see, I don't know, maybe having a picnic with the family and just just being that one guy, that gets invited to this lovely family, and I don't know, maybe have a couple of beers, and we will actually talk about politics. I think that you would be very, very great to speak with about politics and even religion. You seem to have your head on screwed on right. And then, when I think about Mike, you guys don't know who Mike is, but I know he doesn't want me to say his name. I should have said his username. But Mike is. I feel like he's the one redneck patriot that he's just gonna be talking a lot of shit, and a lot of good stuff. But that's just the way that I imagine you guys. I could be wrong. And then of course when I think about Tanya and the way that she's always come in and salutes my wife, sends her love. Such a loving heart. And I just feel like we can just sit out in the afternoon and have a cup of coffee or tea or whatever you're into and just have a nice conversation, maybe talk about maybe some spirituality and, some of the things that makes us feel like real human, that's the kind of guy that I am. I really try to analyze people. Not that anal analyzing, but I do like to get to know people, and I like to give the people that I don't know. It's not like a benefit of doubt, but I like to find the best in all people. You know what I'm saying? Like with Cutting Edge, please, man. With Cutting Edge, I already know that being Dominican, he's gonna be a loud mouth and he's gonna be laughing loud, and I can expect that. Ozzy, I don't know Ozzy. Ozzy comes in here once in a while, but I don't know what to make about Ozzy yet. But definitely my other members, you guys are very close in there. I think, who was it? Paul Salsi. Paul Salsi is just a clown. I don't know. He just makes me laugh when he comes in here and smelling the transtifia in the chat. I think it's hella funny. But you know what? In the end, is like even having Ozzy and everybody, right? And I get all of you members together in one spot. I just feel like there is not gonna be one dull moment. I feel like we can just have a great time together. And because we have sort of the same, like we're not the same exactly same mentality, but we're able to talk about the things, like we're on the same level of policies, right? We're on the same level of what we want for the United States of America. I feel that we are the same level of family oriented. You know what I'm saying? And I appreciate that. And so, I want to be able to just give you all that stuff out there. I know there's more people out there. We got some crazy ass veterans. I think they'll be hella funny to hang out with. And I mean, to each his own, right? But Tanya, she seems to be the sweetheart. At least that's just what I get, from the way that we've been chatting. To some of you guys already know we've talked on the phone quite a few times. So there's that. All I want to say is thank you guys so much for being my friends. I really do. And, I can be friends with everybody. I cannot be close friends with everybody, but I can always love everybody. And I think it's just up to the people, right? If we ever meet in person and you're always a jerk, but what can I do, right? There's only so much that I can do. I'm not gonna want to be hanging out with you too much. You're gonna drive me crazy, But when you're supportive and we are aligned with the same sort of policies, like here, like for example, let me give you some. Like for example, I believe on protecting, respecting, honoring the Constitution of the United States of America. That's my policy. I need to do that. That's my civic duty. I need to do that. I need to honor, love, and respect the Constitution of the United States of America. And with that comes, okay, what the Constitution was made so for the protection of American citizens. You know what I'm saying? And so I believe on securing borders. I believe on putting Americans first before illegals or any foreigner, whether they're here legal or illegal, it doesn't matter. Americans come first, and that's just my policy. And then the other thing is, like, I believe in foreign relations. I believe that we can have friends and we can have enemies outside the country. Now, that doesn't mean that we're going to go war. I know the things that are going on in Iran. I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this. Iran is a bit of a confusing battle because in one side we have we don't want wars. We do not want wars. I want you to know this. We do not want wars. We want to be able to have our policy of friends and allies throughout the world. And so sometimes we have to go to war. And war, I'm not a soldier, but I'm not dead. And I know how to think for myself. And I can tell you that war is a very foggy field. You can think that you have all this power and that you're going to do this and smooth and everything is out. No, war is very foggy. Even if we know that we can destroy the enemy, there's always collateral damage, as they say. There's always innocent people that will get hurt. So, of course, we don't want war. But at the end of the day, sometimes we need to take those weeds out because the people need to be able to live a free life. We want to be able to trade, and we want to be able to have that. I don't know if you know this, but we used to have a great relationship with Iran. I'm going to give you the only mistake, I believe, the only mistake that we have made, and the reason why we pushed Iran to do what they are doing, the Ayatollah did, was that when we had a great relationship with Iran, the leaders of that time, and I don't know if it's the 50s or whenever the hell this time was, but the leaders of that time got a deal with Iran where we were getting 40%, I believe. I think it's 40% of the oil from Iran. That is not cool. That's not cool at all. I think maybe at 20% would have been nice. But taking that 40% of the oil, you have to understand something. Taking 40% of the oil, there's always going to be people, especially political people, that are going to rise up and be like, wait a minute, we can use this money for our country. Iran first, right? That's what I would look at. Iran first. The United States of America is taking a lot of our oil. It's taking a lot of our money. So what do? We got to come up with something. We got to come up with something. And then they changed. Their democracy just changed. And then things started going down the hill from there. And so I think that hopefully, I'm not Trump, but hopefully something clicks in here because this war is dirty. It's nasty. And even though it's not our declared war, it's still a war on the U.S., and they are going to pay for that. They are still going to pay for that. But we are not an all-out war. Let me just say that, because when you go an all-out war, things get really, really bad. And I'm talking about, you think it's bad right now. This is nothing. It can get really, really bad. And so anyway, so we got to be able to get some sort of equal, I don't know, we got to be able to make a deal. And this is what I hope that Trump does and comes in. Let me just add this. The Iranian people, they want us to go and bomb these guys and take them out. The Iranian people who have been mistreated, oppressed, over 40,000 killed. Just saying. Over 40,000 killed for talking, for speaking. That's crazy. For not covering their face, they get 40, 80 lashes. Somebody committed adultery. I get it. I get it. It's bad. But hey, listen to me. That is, you don't whoop somebody 80 lashes for that. Give them a letter of divorce. Jesus Christ said that he is against divorce. But if you were to give a letter of divorce to somebody, let it be because somebody was unfaithful. If somebody wants to throw away their marriage because they want to be an adulterer, okay, let them go. He doesn't say go whip him 80 times. That's crazy. Anyway, so there's a lot of bad things about this Islamic regime that they have in Iran, and the people are sick of it. They're sick of it. Let God judge them, so to speak. Let God judge them, so to speak. And, and so we need to fight. We need to get rid of this stuff. And we already know we took care of the Air Force. We already know we took care of the Navy. Okay? They're done. The Strait of Hormuz, of Hormuz is one of those things to where it can be very tricky because you're playing with billions of dollars of equipment on these oiler tankers, and it's delicate. You know what I find very interesting on this, and I know I'm going a little bit away from what I'm telling you about my policies, but what I find very interesting, and it's to me is more annoying than anything else. It's they have made up this Iran news. Iran news that starts posting things like Iran's won the war. Oh man, I try to stay I try to like stay serious about this, but they go and say that Iran has won the war, etc. And I'm just thinking, so they have an air force there, they have a navy. No, they don't. They don't got nothing. They got foot soldiers, and I'm not saying that they're not dangerous. They're still dangerous. They're terrorists. They are terrorists. Hey, Jason Beatrice, I see that you're in the landscape mode. Hold down the fort over there, brother. Hold down the fort. And you know what? Anyway, so I feel that we need to fix those things over there. How are we going to do it? We can only speculate. We can always just talk this and talk that. But at the end of the day, the reason why we have a president is because making the decisions that they got to make are very tough. And you and I wouldn't do any better when it comes to that. Let's just look at what's happening in Europe. Europe is losing their countries. All those Christian countries are going away. All of them. This Islamic regime has found a way to fight the battle without missiles. I mean, just because you think that Iran is quiet, don't think that they're not going to do anything. Once they got enough people inside, they are breeding their people like rabbits, and they're sending them all over to these Christian countries. That's not a coincidence, by the way. They sending them all over the Christian countries. And when all war breaks out, believe me, none of these Muslims that are coming into our country today will fight for us. None of them. They will join the Islamic regime. 2, 1, they are very faithful and loyal. It doesn't matter if they're wrong. They're faithful and loyal. And 2, they're scared shitless of what they're going to do to them, of what the Islamic regime is going to do to them. So they're not like Christians. Like I condemn Catholic priests and evangelicals and Pentecostals that have been doing bad stuff in the church. They got to go. We condemn it. And we take care of them. We kick them out. We send them to jail. We do that. Christians, we do that. We hold each other accountable for that. Muslims don't. Muslims will always deny that the Quran says to be a pedophile. They deny that 100%. So, pardon me for not accepting the Muslim religion. I just said to all my Muslim friends, leave that fake-ass religion. You need to find Christ. Christ is already mentioned in the Quran, but they're lying to you about who he is. You're almost there. You're almost there. Leave that cult. That is a bad cult. Leave that cult. Putting a dress on is not going to make you holier. Praying 5 times a day, it's not going to make you any safer. Those are just religious things, but spirituality, an actual connection with God, you will never have. You can be religious and practice this and that, but you will never have a true relationship with God. So anyway, I believe that, going back to us here, and we'll get back to Iran, but going back to us, I just feel like I have a lot of people, that are with me that believe on sort of the same policies and that actually agree and sort of have the same ideologies when it comes to how to protect our country. I don't know if ideologies is the right way. We're capitalists. We believe that you can work as hard as you can and you should be rewarded for it. And socialist Democrats are trying to destroy that. Socialist Democrats, they punish you. The harder you work, the more they punish you. The more money you make, the more money they take. And the problem now is that we are being overran by socialists, that any type of luxury that you have raised, you have saved a lot of your money. You didn't go and spend it. You're saving a lot of money so that you can buy your, I don't know, a boat, a yacht, whatever it is. You buy a house. And the socialist Democrats are making it to where you will never be able to truly own anything. Nothing. You will never be able to own anything. And that's just the fact. Oh, wait a second. I just noticed my light is off in the back. I will turn that on here after we put in this live. All right, listen, I'm going to take a pause right there. We'll come back. You know how I do. We'll come back to it, but I want to be able to play this. I guess they had a little live feed from the victim that is talking about Eric Swalwell. So let's take a listen to that.
Statement. Eric Fudali and I will also have statements. Lana will not be answering questions. Eric Fudali and I will be answering questions after the statements. Thank you all for coming. Lana.
Hello, everyone.
Get closer.
Hello, everyone. My name is Lana Drews. In 2018, while I was living and working as a model in Beverly Hills, and I also owned a fashion software company.
Okay, number one, I'm going to tell you this. Right off the bat, she looks very ashamed. She looks very ashamed. I think she's real. I think she's real.
I had contact with Eric Swalwell on 3 separate occasions after meeting him socially. He offered me connections to further my software company, and I also had an interest in local politics. He invited me to 2 public events. I knew he was married at the time and that his wife was pregnant. He was my friend. On the 3rd occasion, I believe he drugged my drink. I only had 1 glass of wine. We were supposed to go to a political event, and he said he needed to get paperwork from his hotel room. When I arrived at his hotel room, I was already incapacitated, and I couldn't move my arms or my body. He raped me, and he choked me. And while he was choking me, I lost consciousness. And I thought I died. I did not consent to any sexual activity. Although I did not undergo a rape kit at the time, I disclosed the assault to the people closest to me. I also recorded these events in my handwritten calendar. The assault and its impact were later documented during my therapy sessions at a sexual assault center in Connecticut. It had a profound impact on my mental health. I self-medicated in an unhealthy way. I did not want to live anymore. I cried all the time for years. At the time, I was in a dating relationship with a boyfriend I was fully committed to. I've never cheated in my life, and I would never have engaged in a consensual sexual encounter with Eric Swalwell. That reality further underscores the non-consensual nature of what occurred. It was a politically unusual and intense time in Beverly Hills, and I was considering a run for city council, which placed me in proximity to political figures and events and added to the pressure to remain composed and silent. Eric was aware I owned a software company, and he spoke repeatedly about his ability to make introductions in Silicon Valley, referencing his political representation and influence there. I was not interested in him romantically, but I was interested in the business relationship and professional connections he offered to provide. My delay in taking action against Eric was driven by fear, not doubt. Fear of his political power, his background as an attorney, and his family law enforcement ties. I have never doubted what happened. I stand with the other women who have come forward, and I will be making a report to law enforcement shortly with my attorneys.
I think you have to switch places with Eric.
I gotta go now.
Hello, my name is Eric Fudali. I'm a partner and I'm the managing attorney of the Bloom firm, and I'm very proud here to represent Lana. Mr. Swalwell and others have suggested that the allegations political campaign or a career. This is about much more than politics, and belittling such serious allegations is offensive to Lana and the victims everywhere. This is not about Democrat versus Republican. This is about accountability versus silence. This is not about the pursuit of governor. This is about the pursuit of justice. This is not about whether you're on the right side or the left side of the aisle. This is about whether you're on the right side or the left side of justice, truth, and accountability. This is not about the end of a campaign or congressional service. This is about the end of exploitation and the abuse of power, political or otherwise. Lisa and I have dedicated our careers to fighting the power in the name of justice, regardless of the politics of the perpetrator. My hope is that this message both encourages others who are suffering in silence to stand up and fight, and also I hope this encourages the grossly politicized American public and politicians to put politics aside when it comes to allegations like these and stand up for what is right and not what is just politically convenient. Thank you.
Hi, I'm attorney Lisa Bloom, and I'm very proud to represent the very brave and strong woman sitting next to me today, Lana Drews. Lana deserves what all women deserve: autonomy over her own body. Every minute of every hour of every day of her life, her body is hers to control. And no man, no matter his position of power or station in life, ever has the right to make that decision for her. As her attorney, I have advised Lana of her legal rights. Immediately, we will be filing a police report with the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Office, which is the law enforcement agency that has jurisdiction over incidents that happen in West Hollywood. Lana is committed to fully cooperating with law enforcement, and we will do everything possible to assist and support her in that. We will be providing all of her evidence there, including text messages, journal entries, photograph, and witness information. We will encourage the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Office to fully and promptly investigate her complaint. We will also cooperate with any other law enforcement agencies who are investigating Mr. Swalwell. For example, the Manhattan District Attorney's Office, which we understand has already opened an investigation. Because Lana and our law firm are here not just for her, but for the other women, to be helpful in any way that we can. We will not rest until we get justice for Lana. I want to say something now directly to Mr. Swalwell. Your recent statement that you are just not perfect, you are not a saint, is just blather and spin. Stop it. Your statement that this is all just a matter between you and your wife is laughable, if not for the fact that it is a slap in the face to the victims. Your statement yesterday that you just made, quote, mistakes in judgment is defensive and minimizing. Stop it. Own your behavior. To any other women out there who want to talk to us, and I have received messages from other women, we are here to talk to you. To anyone else who is a witness who wants to talk to us, we are here and we want to talk to you. Of course, for free and confidentially. I am very easy to reach via my website, thebloomfirm.com. Supporting women like Lana, who stand with the other women and who show such tremendous courage, is my absolute pleasure. Questions?
Could you please spell your client's name and also
Yes.
tell us when this occurred?
It happened in 2018, as she said. Her name is Lana, Lonna, Drews, Drewews.
How many people have reached out to you that you just mentioned, and have you heard from Mr. Swalwell and says he's going to fight these allegations?
3 other women have reached out to me just since I announced this press conference yesterday. I have not heard from Mr. Swalwell, no.
Swalwell has dropped out of the race for governor. He's resigned from Congress. What's the next form of justice for you? Because those would be what people would say that's the political motivation. What's justice now?
Justice now are the criminal investigations. So losing one's job is not a sufficient consequence for these types of allegations. We feel that the criminal investigations are the priority.
So Lisa, are you representing both civilly and criminally, and do you think that Eric Swalwell should face criminal charges for this incident?
We are making a report to law enforcement. We're encouraging them to fully investigate. That is the priority right now.
Will you be filing that today? Will you be going to law
We will be
firm?
going immediately.
What's your message to Swalwell's wife and children, his family, who's going through this right now?
You know, I have nothing but sympathy for his wife and his children. I'm sure this is a very difficult time for them.
And the 3 women that you say have reached out to you, are they based in California or are they elsewhere?
I'm not going to provide any additional details or information about the 3 who have already reached out.
What legal hurdles do you anticipate in this investigation?
I mean, that'll be up to the law enforcement. Our priority at this point is just to make sure that Lana makes the complaint, makes the report to law enforcement. How they handle the investigation, their strategy, and what hurdles they may, they may find is up to them.
Lisa, often these victims, these women feel that no one will listen to them, no one will believe them. When this news broke over the weekend, did this give your client the feeling that someone would finally listen and it was time to come forward?
Thank you, Jim. You know, I think we've all learned enough to know now that when it comes to sexual assault allegations, it takes time for women or any victim to process what happened, to understand how to deal with the trauma, to work through it, and to get to a point where she is strong enough to come forward. It takes time. That's why the law has extended statutes of limitations, time deadlines to file, because the law recognizes that sexual assault allegations are different, and it just takes time. So for Lana, now is the time. And even now, it's very difficult, but she's doing it.
Ms. Druzak, had you followed Eric Swalwell's political career, and if you're comfortable talking a little bit about how that made you feel, and you know, just kind of seeing his face?
She's not going to be answering any questions. Okay. She had her statement.
Can you answer that?
Thank you. Was she following his career? I don't.
Some who know Mr. Swalwell have suggested that he was living a secret life, a double life, and they were absolutely gobsmacked at all the accusations that have come. Whether in this particular instance, or perhaps in your experience, is that usually the case, that people who are around someone like him are just totally in the dark on this, or are there clues? Are there people who should have known something was wrong?
Well, it is very common when someone is multiply accused of sexual misconduct that the people around them don't know. That's very common. Or any kind of crimes. People on the street often say, I had no idea. So I think that's pretty common.
Do you have a message for the social media content creators who started publishing some of these allegations and helped these women to realize maybe for the first time that they were not alone in what happened?
Yes. Thank you. Thank you to the women on social media, to the women who have already come forward, to anyone who's been an advocate, anyone who has assisted. It's very hard to do this by yourself. And anyone who can support women, who can help them, who can advocate,
Who can speak out.
it makes a tremendous difference. So thank you.
And I'll add to that, there's a phenomenon we see in our line of work. It's called collective empowerment, that when one woman comes forward or one victim comes forward against their abuser, it often empowers, like a domino effect, multiple other women to come forward. This is why Lisa and myself are always encouraging women to come forward, stop suffering in silence, because not only are you saving yourself, but you're also saving someone who you are empowering, that you will probably never meet, to come forward and step up and start fighting against their abuser.
Lisa, you said that you're going to ask the Sheriff's Department to investigate the case, and
Yes.
you're going to cooperate with other entities, law enforcement agencies?
Correct.
What is the final objective of this?
Justice.
Where do you want to see him?
Justice. That's the final objective. Justice for Lana. Yes?
Can you describe where that photo was from? And
Yes.
can you give us any more details about the text messages or any evidence?
So this is a photograph that we've enlarged, obviously. It was the opening of a restaurant called Avra, A-V-R-A, in 2018, and it's one of the times that Lana described where she met with Eric Swalwell.
Will the firm be releasing any additional supplemental material to the media?
Not to the media, to the Sheriff's Office. We will be providing all of our evidence to the Sheriff's.
Can you repeat what you said about the picture? I'm sorry. I didn't catch it.
So this was the opening of a restaurant called Avra, A-V-R-A, where this is Ms. Drews, this is Mr. Swalwell, in 2018.
How many times have the two seen each other or met each other?
Right, so 3 times, as she said in her statement. There was no contact after the incident.
Would this be the first time law enforcement is contacted?
By us? Yes,
By
yes,
Ms.
yes. Okay? Okay.
Could you react? We have 2 congressmen now resigning before expulsion, and just a reaction to that before this can move forward.
Enough is enough. Of course, anyone in a position of power who is credibly accused of abusing a woman or anyone should step down. Of course, it should never happen in the first place. I think the American public is sick and tired of these stories, and I'm sick and tired of women being victimized by men in power. Enough is enough. It's really appalling. I'm glad at least these 2 have stepped down. There are 2 more who are being investigated in Congress for misconduct and facing expulsion. I can say briefly about Mr. Swalwell resigning from Congress yesterday. I do not, in my opinion, see that as an act of accountability at all. I see it as an effort to avoid the expulsion hearing that was coming, because once he steps down, The ethics committee no longer has jurisdiction to impose consequences on him. So even though he made some kind of a statement about I made mistakes, etc., very vague, not really owning up to anything, certainly not apologizing to women, I believe that was the reason why he stepped down, to avoid that hearing. However, there are other consequences such as law enforcement, and that's what we're doing now.
What would you consider accountability?
Justice via the criminal justice system.
But also civil?
Right now we're focusing on the criminal justice system. We think that's the most appropriate.
Could you be a little more specific in justice? Can you tell us what exactly you're looking for?
I'm not, because once you make a report to law enforcement, it is in their hands. We can control what we can control, which is we will answer all of their questions, we will cooperate, we will provide all of the evidence. And then the LA County Sheriff's Office and the Los Angeles District Attorneys will make a decision that they feel is appropriate. Okay.
Well, that's the update on Swalwell. I see people think that I'm over here representing Republicans. I don't. I'm sorry to bust your bubble. I believe, see, this is one of the things that I've said before about the Epstein files. One of the things that bugs me about the Epstein files is it's not that the victims now come out and they want to say something about it. What bugs me about the Epstein files is it's not something that haven't been tried. It's already been tried through court, right? So you had all this, whether it was Democrats or Republicans in power, it doesn't matter. The whole thing is that this all Epstein files, they were trialed, they were dealt with, lawyers, attorney generals, etc., judges, blah, blah, blah. And then we find that, the guy just takes his life. And then that's it. That's all we got. So, these files were in their hands for decades. No, I'm just kidding. For years, and I think it's over a decade. But, nothing was done about it. And I can't sit here and think, oh my God, we should talk about it. What are we going to talk about? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not trying to like put you down if you're into the Epstein files things, right? Because I know a lot of Republicans were into the Epstein files. I'm not trying to put down that let's not pay attention to the Epstein files. Of course, I want to see the results. I want these people to pay. But it has to be something that is proven, right? Right now, Eric is in hot water. I mean, I've seen a video of him doing some sort of orgy, you know what I'm saying? But I know that kind of lifestyle, it's one of those things to where in California, specifically in California, I mean, I live this in California, and I don't have friends because of that reason. This is what a lot of people like to do. And I am not down with that. So I separated myself from people that do those kind of things because I don't want to be part of that. And so I know that it happens. And Swalwell is one of those guys that just, they just think, oh, we're just gonna have fun. It's no big deal. They don't fear God. They don't believe in God. So of course they go out and do all these things. Now, with the whole Epstein files. Okay, with the Epstein file things is, they have this island, right, where they practice all this sort of, it's amazing for families to go and visit. I mean, the views are spectacular. I just think the ocean, the blues, and the sky and the greenery, and it's just amazing. Everybody want to go to the Epstein files. I mean, to the Epstein Island. But once that we know what the Epstein Island is about, now we have all these dirty thoughts. We thinking that this was going on every single day, and oh my God, anybody that went to the island is just dirty, and you don't know that. You don't know that. We don't know that. So unless there's a video that shows, we don't want to see it. But unless they have a video that says, boom, this happened, then I'll be okay with it. But just to say somebody went to the Epstein Island doesn't make somebody guilty. Eric can go to any hotel. Doesn't mean that he was there in every hotel doing the same things as he's doing now. That doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean that anybody that went to that hotel is also guilty of what Eric Swalwell did at this particular hotel. It's stupid to think that way. It's dumb to think that way. It is the dumbest thing. And I know that, don't play dumb with me. I know that a lot of people in college parties, even high school parties, when the parents are away from the house, you throw a party and there is alcohol with minors. And there is a room where some people go in and they do their thing. Does that mean that everybody that was in that house at that party was also doing the same thing? No, it doesn't. So this is why I always have a problem with people that bring up the Epstein files, because I like to criticize, to analyze the things that I'm looking at, and I look at it from both perspectives. From the negative side first. I'm always negative, and then I try to find the positive. And if it makes sense to me, then I'll make a decision. But before I do that, I got to see the facts. Hey, Chair Bear, how are you, Mama? I want to be able to speak to it. For example, here with Eric. Hey, man, you slept with a Chinese spy. That, boom, you should be out of Congress right there. You don't qualify for Congress in my book. But that's just me. And it is a fact that he slept with a Chinese spy, right? For whatever reason, Congress just kind of swept it under the rug, which is why I say to Agus that every person in Congress, every congressman, needs to be investigated. And every single sexual harassment lawsuit needs to be shown to the public. Period. If you want to get to the bottom of this, you have to investigate every single one of these congressmen. Make sure they are vetted. I mentioned something yesterday, and I want to clarify. I mentioned something yesterday about congressmen, that they get FBI files unredacted for them. But that's not really what I wanted to say. What it was is that there is the members of Congress, this is from C3, somebody posted this from the Benny Show. Members of Congress get access to classified info once selected. So I understood that as they get any file unredacted and whatever, and maybe I'm still right. I don't know. You can put that on the chat if that's what it means, okay? But it says there was no FBI background check done to any of these congressmen. And we're specifically talking about people who are migrants that become residents and American citizens. Okay, and you have Eric Swalwell having access to these files. Of course, he probably has access to other people's files as well. And you know what? They're dirty. Blue, red, they are dirty. They are dirty. We have been, people on the left, they really push all of their mistakes, all of the bad things that they are doing, they push it on Trump. Everything. Everything on Trump. Trump. You know why? Because Trump is a famous guy. He's an entrepreneur. His name has been on the news for forever. His family has a legacy. I mean, the Trumps have built so many things in New York. Huge. I dare say, maybe New York wouldn't be New York today if it wasn't for Fred Trump. I'm just saying. The fact that the Trump family has this ambition, this vision of creating greatness, you got to be able to admire that. You got to be able to admire that. Now, if you're on my landscape mode streaming of this, I don't think I have any mods. Do I have any mods on the landscape version, the full screen? No. All right, I have no mods. So Mr. Comrade here says, well, I got put in time out for asking a legit question. He says I wasn't even trolling, so the moderators on here need to grow a pair and stop just silencing people. Okay, here, let me address something real quick. Asking questions is fine. Being stupid and just calling me names, we're not going to tolerate that. Okay, you got to have some respect in my channel if you really want to participate. Okay, but with that being said, I want to be able to address the chat as well. Sorry, guys. And by the way, thank you guys so much for being here with me. Okay, Gregory Robinson. That's how is that helping us here? That's fantastic. I'm glad you don't like Trump. Congratulations. But see if you can put something of information that helps. Here's the one thing. I'm gonna give a shout out to Agus. Agus Audens Prismo Omega. Agus Odin Prism Omega. Consequently, anybody that touched the toe in his ranch in New Mexico as well, next to the Clintons' ranch in New Mexico. See, he's commenting on the Epstein files, I believe. You can make comments like that. You know, he talked about democracy and try to, give me some information about what democracy is to what it is on the text, and I give him my opinion on what democracy is to me, and that's fine. I love that. Give me information. Don't just call out names. Don't just, say this, I hate that, I hate this. That doesn't help. That doesn't help at all. And if you do want to interact with me, have the common sense to stay and actually watch my show, so that you don't call in when I do give you access to call in and make an ass out of yourself. Because there's a lot of trolls. It happens. There's a lot of trolls on the leftist podcast. There's a lot of conservatives that go and troll over there. It happens all the time. And I don't even know if they're conservatives. I don't even know if they're leftists. There's probably just people from Africa and India just coming in and talking shit of something that they don't even know anything about. I got my mud water so that I can continue to have this energy, high energy level conversations with you guys. This is, today, I actually mixed this with some medium roast coffee. Yes, I still have the mushroom coffee in it. I don't know. I think it works, but I don't know. I'm not sure yet. I got my white coffee in there. And I got one packet. Only one packet of sweetener in there. So it tastes like shit. It's okay. It's still good. It's still good. So anyways, if you're in my chat, guys, please. Cool Cat Renee. Man, my love to this guy. He's been with me for a very long time now. And, I think a lot of you, if you notice on the members, the members have a little icon next to them, okay? If you have an eagle next to you, you have been a recent member in my channel, okay? If you have JD Vance, or you have Dwayne Mullen, or any icon that you have in there, especially President Trump, it's how many months you have been supporting me. So the icon changes the longer that you are a member on my channel. Nobody has hit 6 months yet, I don't think. So we'll see. That's going to change for some of you guys. Like Mr. Mikey, he's already on the well, let's see. Mark Wayne. Wait, is it Mark Wayne? Mark Wayne, right? Mark Wayne, The Rock Mullen. Just Dwayne The Rock Mullen is what I call him. Dwayne The Rock Mullen. I think that's like a 2 or 3 month. I can't remember what levels I set them up. But all I know is that you guys get different emojis depending on how long you've been a member of my channel. Honey in your coffee is better. Agus, I will try that, my friend. I will. Henry's mine. Henry's C mine. I don't know what that is. Dennis, you are a Mexican angel. A stupid son of a bye. Oh man, I tell you what, I don't know what I said so far. I don't know what I said so far to actually get somebody to cuss me out. What the hell was that about? I'm not sure what that's about. Maybe somebody's getting triggered with the Make America Great Again. You guys don't like the Ronald Reagan slogan? What's wrong with you people? You un-American people. Unc Andy in the house. Man, I had to do so many errands today, but yes, I'm always working hard. Let me go ahead and continue on this little coverage here of Mr. Swalwell, and that's just the way we do it. We'll continue to show you guys some clips, and let me see, make sure that's not muted anymore. Okay. Oh, this is something interesting. This is just off the blue, off topic. Did you guys know this? I didn't know about this, but listen to this. I don't know if this is what's going on here, but quick talk PH show this short. And did you guys hear about this? The IRS freezes $7.3 million assets. What is this about?
Mayweather is being targeted by the IRS over unpaid taxes, with some of his properties and assets being held on lien until the full balance is paid off. And if not, said assets will be fully taken away. This report comes from Business Insider, but is also now being reported by Ring Magazine, in which they reveal that the IRS has filed a lien versus Mayweather in Las Vegas, currently putting a hold on Mayweather's Vegas property due to unpaid taxes stemming from 2018 and 2023 that have now ballooned to $7.3 million. Now, we're not sure if it's Mayweather's house or his cars. However, whatever tangible property that Mayweather owns that equals the amount that he owes the government is likely the one being held hostage right now by the IRS. With that said, the IRS now joins Netflix, Pacquiao, The Sphere, and all the investors and sponsors that are demanding answers from Floyd Money Mayweather. Mayweather is being targeted by the...
Well, let me point out a couple of things about this Mayweather thing, okay? This is just a side talk. Did you notice the mentality of this black man? I don't know if he's got punched in the head too many times, but this is just something that I see a lot amongst black athletes, whether boxing, NBA, football, etc. Do you notice that they're always just flashing? Don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with having a mansion. I mean, you're making millions, right? There's nothing wrong with having a mansion and maybe having 3-5 cars in the garage of this mansion that you have 6 garages for. I'm not having a problem with them acquiring wealth, etc., etc. But did you see him in the car just kind of hugging the money and the luxury? It's like the greed. See, this is the kind of mentality that cannot be into power. The greed just takes over them. Why would you have to have 4 Rolexes with diamonds and shit? Like, why would you need to have so many of them, right? Yes, I saw you. Yes, that was to you, Robert. I love you, big bro. I know. I listen, I'm trying to work on something, okay? I'll do a members and I'll talk about it more. But stop throwing me off, man. But anyway, so you have all these luxuries, and you show these like really expensive cars. It's like, do you really have the money to support all of these things and paying taxes, etc.? Because with Democrats in power, they have added this luxury tax. Oh, keep voting for Democrats. These Democrats are crazy. They are socialist Democrats. They're not real Democrats like myself. It's so sad and shameful to say that I'm a Democrat. But I would like to say that I'm a real Democrat. Not the racist KKK type of Democrat, but I'm a 1990s, early 2000s sort of Democrat. Anyways, I find it interesting that they like to flash their materialistic life. And again, listen, anybody that has money, you can do whatever you want. You can do whatever you want, okay? But you owe taxes and you're flashing all of this? You know what I'm saying? Like, you're flashing all of this, but you don't pay your taxes. Let me tell you, luxury taxes. And there's another name for these taxes as well. Listen, You can have a mansion. You remember Michael Jordan. Of course, you remember Michael Jordan. But, oh, my gosh, man. Michael Jordan, by the way, in my book, he made the NBA to me. He made the NBA. I'm going to tell you something. I love basketball in the 90s. Oh my God, I love the 90s. And I remember sorry, side story. Stay with me. I remember my mother used to watch me. I wanted to watch basketball and football all the time. She was so sweet. Yeah, man. I'm going to try not to get emotional because I miss my mother. But, I remember her, man, bless her heart. She always, how do I start explaining here? Let me start it. It started this way, okay? My mother had me when she was almost 41 years old, okay? So by the time that I am in the 16 years old, she's already in her 56, going to 60 years old, okay? So when I'm in my mid-teens, she is she is so old school, and she never upgraded to the new school. This is horrible, especially all of you guys that are older than me. But I want you to listen to this. Listen to this. So she tried to not reach out to me, but she tried to please me, showing me that she cares about me. So she wanted to buy me things that she felt that I really wanted to, right? And so I laugh because going back in time, I feel the steam in the apartment of her cooking soups, and maybe I shouldn't talk about that story. It's making me sad. Oh, man. Anyways, let me shit. I'm sorry, guys. I don't even know why I went. I miss my mother a lot. Let me just go to the point. Maybe when I do members only, I can share more. But the point is that I used to watch all these sports, and my mother got me these Sports Illustrated subscription. And man, I was so plus because it came with an American football gift. And oh man, I was stoked, and I told my mother. It was just like, man, thank you so much, and I was so grateful. Where other kids my age were over there hiding porn magazines from their parents, I was here being grateful that my mother got me a Sports Illustrated, membership, where every 30 days I'm gonna get this brand new magazine. And I remember Shaquille. Yeah, that's right, Agus. I'm getting there. I remember Sam Perkins, Sean Kemp here in Washington State. I remember Gary Payton, the glove. I remember one time I went to watch them play in person when they played against the Bulls. And I remember listening to Sam Perkins, smooth. Yeah. And then you hear the racing car, Gary Payton just got another steal, in the basketball, and Sean bam, body slamming into the hoop, blah, blah, blah. And then you have Eddie Johnson, and the commercial back in the 90s when they're trying to promote the Sonics. And then one of the screams in the background is like, and he shoots it from the top of the logo, and it's in, and everybody goes crazy. So, anyways, watching the Sonics play with the Bulls, in the 90s, we were toe to toe. I really believe that we can beat the Sonics. I mean, the Bulls. I was a Michael Jordan fan, so I'm a little biased on the story. But I wanted the Sonics to beat the Bulls because the Chicago Bulls has been, they've been winning all this stuff all the time. And Michael Jordan was just disgusting. The guy is just nasty awesome. The guy is just the star. I don't think anybody will ever be as great as Michael Jordan. I just think Michael Jordan is it's amazing. Kevin, go to timeout for being a jerk. Don't come over here and clown on my looks. Oh, man. It is very shady. There's a little spot that, I don't know, for some reason I can't grow hair there. Who knows? Maybe once it gets long enough, we'll be able to cover it. You get to time out for being a jerk. Anyway, so so Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, man, the best mixes, the best couple. I've always said Scottie Pippen, Gary Payton, Sean Kemp, best mix. And then three shooters we have. We got Kemp, and Sam Perkins that used to shoot threes, but unfortunately, I just didn't think that Sam Perkins was as mobile or as agile to be able to take out the competition on the Chicago Bulls lineup. And we lost. We didn't get swept. I don't think we got swept. I think we won a few of them, or at least came close to winning some. But I don't think we got swept. I think we went in there. I think twice we made it to the NBA Finals, which was fantastic. And yes, on the side note, they're trying to bring that back. But anyway, so Michael Jordan to me is one of the most amazing athletes in the NBA. He was average in baseball, and I'm sure he would have been fantastic as a receiver in football. I've always been very average on every sport that I play. I never play hockey because I'm not good in skates. That's about the only bad thing about me. In golf, I shot a par. I never been able to shoot under par, but I have shot par. And it's not like I golf every day and I'm this big professional, but I heard that was pretty good. I mean, I don't know. To shoot par is just average to me, but, I always heard that was very good. And, baseball, I was a decent pitcher. I was hitting 110 mile per hour fastball, and then until my elbow couldn't throw that anymore. Such is my stories. And, in football, I was a decent quarterback, but not a quarterback that can go to the pros. I was better of a punter, of a kicker, and a receiver. But apparently wasn't good enough to be a receiver either. So we stopped that way. Best goalkeeper, probably. I will give myself some kudos on that because I was very good. I took a team to the championships with a whole season shutout, just to lose by a penalty kick in the final. So I think that's very good accomplishment, and I'm happy about that. But Michael Jordan had bought this big, huge mansion that was worth millions and millions of dollars, and the guy just made this mansion to accommodate Michael Jordan, the star. And if you're a fan, if you're a billionaire and you're a fan of Michael Jordan, this would be a fantastic house to buy. But he had a problem selling it because a billionaire didn't want to have Michael Jordan's house. They wanted to have the mansion, but not Michael Jordan's house. And so he couldn't sell it. And he was losing a lot of money by not being able to sell it because of taxes. So with that being said, socialist Democrats have created this new beautiful thing called luxury taxes. If you work for 5 years, maybe more, and you buy yourself a yacht that costs $500,000, you will never own it. The moment that you stop paying taxes on that, the government takes it. If you spend 30 years buying your house and you stop paying taxes on it, the government owns it. It is that simple. For that and that reason alone, I will never vote for socialist Democrats. Never. Never, never, ever, ever, ever. I believe in capitalism because I believe that you are allowed to work as hard as you can to save as much as you can, to be able to have something for your future and hopefully leave something for your kids. And that's the reason why I wouldn't vote for them. So, and I mentioned these guys, right? This, he's still there. I mention people like him because these guys, instead of doing something like supposedly, instead of doing something for maybe the future of their children or helping in their community, they just go out there and start flashing all this money, and then they wonder why they're broke. They wonder why they have no money. You know what I'm saying? So I just wanted to throw that side conversation in there. But the truth is the truth. If you don't believe me, go find out for yourself. I swear, if you are a socialist Democrat on my chat and you're calling me a liar, you better show me what I'm lying about, because I wouldn't talk about this if I didn't know about it. All right? No. Well, okay, so Chicago, that's right. So I support any representative that fights to get rid of property taxes. Okay? That's just me. I will support a representative that wants to cut off property taxes. Now, if there is let's say, for example, this is the way that it was when I was a kid in Honduras. Okay, the reason why you will be charged property taxes is because there is the tax will go to maintain the road in your neighborhood. So when they added this tax to people because they paved the roads, okay? Now, once the money is all gathered and picked up, then that tax should go away, right? It should go away. It shouldn't just continue to go on for the rest of your life until you die. And, I'm okay with it. But here is the catch. The catch is that here in the United States of America, we have the property tax, which, you will think, right, that this property tax is going to go for that particular issue, right? Maybe they're maintaining the sewer, maybe they're maintaining the power lines, whatever it is. And you will think, okay, I got to pay property taxes because, my taxes are doing something. Well, wrong, because we have a sales tax. The sales tax tells me that this little percentage of this sales tax goes to the roads. It goes to maintain the power lines. It goes to maintain the sewer. This goes to maintain the fire department. This goes to maintain the police department. This goes to maintain bridges, infrastructure. So the sales tax gets so divided depending on the county and the city that you live in, because every city has a different need. For example, the tax in Snohomish County, right? In Snohomish, the city is a small town. Okay, the tax there is a lot less than it is in Everett, for example, because Everett is more industrialized. It's more city, more buildings. It's not huge like Seattle with big skyscrapers or whatever. It's not that way, but the taxes are a little bit more, because they need to have more stuff to maintain in the city than they do in the country. And so that's kind of how the tax goes, okay? So for them to say that they're going to do a tax on property, luxury tax, etc., to not allow you to own anything. Remember, it used to be a big investment thing to say, you know what, I'm going to buy these houses that are falling apart, because even though the house goes out of, it loses its value, the land is the expensive part. The building of the house, that's the cheap part. But the land is expensive. You know what I'm saying? And so you would have that in there for a rainy day and be like, hey, listen, I want to buy a house in Miami for $500,000. I have 2 lots of land that can give me $600,000 to $700,000. You have that in the bank so that you can sell it, and then you can go and buy a house and pay taxes on another state. Or even if you move to a different city, you will pay taxes when you buy that property. So why would you keep paying property taxes when they're going to tax you when you sell it? And now they became very clever, and now they go and do this. Now they want to tax you on your stocks. Stocks is not money. At least I don't know what the word is that I'm looking for the stocks, but it's not realized money. So how can they tax it? You can have a stock and make $1 million on it, or you can have a stock and go bankrupt. So how can they tax that? You see what I'm saying? I have a problem with that. And socialist Democrats, they don't give a damn. They don't care if they punish you. They don't care. They literally don't care about your well-being. Let's talk about healthcare. Healthcare. The biggest argument that I hear from people today, it's, oh my God, oh, President Trump, he went into office. What did he do? He didn't do shit. He's talking bad about the Obama healthcare deal, and he didn't do anything. How come President Trump doesn't come up with a healthcare system? Unrealized gains. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Brian. Unrealized gains. Thank you very much. Listen, again, you see what I'm saying? I can have this conversation with my brothers, and they understand what I'm talking about. They will help my lacking of English knowledge. This is why I love these guys. But you know what I'm saying? Like, they will go and say all these things. Well, you know, the President Trump didn't do anything for the health care. F Trump. FDT. You know what I'm saying? Like, people come in, FDT. FDT. He didn't do anything for the healthcare system. Okay, wait a minute. Let's talk about that. Wait a minute. What are you talking about? What do you mean Trump didn't do anything for the healthcare? What are you talking about? Do you forget that your representative? Do you forget that the Congress and the Senate, they all voted against this? President Trump had a healthcare plan. Democrats denied it. So where do you go with that? Damn if you do, damn if you don't. You gotta pick your apples right, man. You can't just go grab like crazy. You gotta pick them. You gotta pick them. You can't blame the man for not bringing a health care into the system when you just throw it away. What's the point? You can't have affordability when you reject everything that he's doing for affordability to fix it. Damn if you do, damn if you don't. I am one of the few people, and there's a lot of people here in Washington, but I'm one of the very few people that speaks about this, and I created my own podcast for that. What is our local government doing to keep our housing costs down? I almost supported them for a little bit because they wanted to have rent control. Now, let me tell you what I believe rent control is. I believe that you shouldn't be able, if you have a shitty-ass apartment complex, and the rent is $850, listen to this and pay attention. If the rent is $850 for a one-bedroom apartment, okay? Pay attention. $850. I want to tell you this. Inflation happens every year. Every year, companies are expected to give you a raise. In a perfect world, this is how it will happen. So the rent is going to go up $50, right? $50 more. Inflation has come up, so now they're going to charge you $50 more for your rent. Well, with your full-time job that you do have, you get up to a 5% raise of what you make yearly. It comes out to be, I don't know, a couple $100. Okay? It's like 100 something, depends on how much money you're making, obviously, right? But we're talking about the lower class, working class. It's like, you get like $160 raise, for example, or $200 raise. Okay, now the rent going to $900, it's okay. It makes sense because why? One, I got a raise to pay and cover the $50 that the rent was increased. Right? So I still got $110 to accommodate for gas costs going up, for food prices going up, etc. And so that's the way, in a perfect world, that's how it works. But here is the problem. This shady-ass apartment complex where you have lived, they haven't upgraded, they haven't painted, they haven't done jack squat. And all of a sudden, because some real estate genius went and bought this property from the previous managing property owner. Now the rent went up from $900 to $1,250 jump. Boom, one smack. Rent control. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. You cannot be giving real estate jerks all of this money and expect the hard-working Americans to continue to have one job, to be able to pay for all the bills and take care of the kids, that the wife can stay home or the husband, whatever your choice. Now they are allowed to make rent unaffordable. Now, people don't think about this, but just imagine $350 jump. When you got your raise from the job, it doesn't even cover half of the increase of the rent. This is nothing to do with Trump. Do you understand? It has nothing to do with Trump or any other president, for that matter. It has to do with your local government. And here in Washington State, we haven't had a Republican since the early 1980s. This state is going down the drain fast. And then those who support the leftist socialist Democrats, you know what they say? Oh, not everybody can afford living in paradise. Wow. Imagine that. This coming from the people that says tax the rich. Is that right? Is that right? Do you wonder why you have so many damn homeless on the streets? You wonder why you have thousands and thousands of more homeless being accumulated every single year? Are you crazy? Phil, by all means, tell me, how am I delusional? Go ahead and put it on the chat. I would love to read your comment after that. So we have a problem. Rent control that they offer here is not what I thought. Rent control to me would be like, okay, listen, you cannot raise your rent this much. The average raise that people get in their jobs is this much. So you cannot raise your rent that much at all. Here's the problem. The socialist Democrats, in the scheme of making money for themselves, not for us, in the scheme of making money for themselves, they try to put a rent control bill to keep the rents lower. And guess what they do to make this happen? They raise the property taxes. How are you? I don't understand here. Wait a second. So you're trying to fix affordability. Buen provecho, FBA. Bon appetit. You're trying to help and fix affordability. This has nothing to do with the president, by the way. Governors technically are the presidents of every state. Every state is a country. This is the United States of America. Understand that. We have mayors for every city. We have city councils. We got all these people involved. So it's not the president. First of all, we need to manage our budget locally. How do you do that? First of all, and your agenda should be American citizens first, green card holders, and then everybody else. I find that is the corrupt politicians are the problem. Incompetence, DEI, worst thing that we have gotten in this damn state. We have incompetent people, like literally stupid, incompetent people running Washington State. Like seriously, and somebody challenged me on this and I proved it to them. They seriously go and spend $600 million. Let me say it again. $600 million. Guess for what? Can anybody guess what government will use $600 million for? Now, they're taxing us. They are using $600 million. Guess what it's used for? Anybody in the chat, go ahead and put it on there. Guess what it's being used for? Take a guess. Anybody? Anybody? Take a guess. $600 million in the budget for Washington State. Guess what it's used for? I don't know. Maybe I should get some sort of sponsorships over here so I can run some commercials. Remind me back of my radio days. You are watching here the Dennis Herrera Show with Dennis Herrera, yours truly. And I am glad that you are here with me. Let's go. Line in their pockets. Build a ballroom. No, I'm talking about taxpayer dollars, not donations. Taxpayer dollars. Cliffy, stay with me, buddy. Stay with me. You can do it. Oh, Kramis. Oh, he's been watching my show too long. Kramis has been watching my show too long. This guy is on it. Transgender. What? What for transgender? Yeah, that's right. It is $600 million. Let's see. Is far better than a couple trillion to the national debt. That is true. This is true. But we're talking about local government, trying to hold everybody accountable, and then we'll break out to the president. Okay, we'll try to keep it local here. I want to see if you really understand how this affordability problem happens. Okay. I want to see if you really know. So tell me, okay, so Kramer says $600 million. It's being used for transgender. But tell me what? What do you think is being used for? What can transgenders do? Cliffy, please, bro, don't insult my intelligence. I'll tell you what, there's a delay on my chat, so you guys probably answered this already. But let me just tell you this. Let's see. Penguin. What does Penguin say? No, it should be the opposite way. Hold the criminal president accountable and then move down. I don't think so. I don't think so. Listen to me. In a family household, and I have to break it down to the smallest group so that people can understand what we're talking about. In a household, you have the parents. The parents work for the money. Okay? The parents work for the money. What do you think should happen in the house in order for the parents to continue to focus on providing for the family and making sure that this family continues to move forward? All right, Cliffy, thank you for stopping by. Get the hell out. Bye-bye. Think about this. Let's say that the wife or the husband, one of those works and provides money for the family. What do we ask in return? I need to have a clear head. I don't want to be stressing. I want to make sure that I am providing the best that I can for my family, and I need my kids to be obedient. Okay, so my kids got their part. So my kids, they have obligations. Okay, if I tell them you got to clean your room, and by the time I come back, these dishes better be done. They have a responsibility. You understand? They have a responsibility. My son, I need you to go pick up after the dog. I need you to mow the lawn, etc. That's a responsibility. Now, I'm still providing for them, right? I'm doing my job. I'm still providing for them. Whether I get the steaks or not, I'm still providing for them. So all I'm asking for them is to do their part. Now, the problem is with the local government, what they do is they are incompetent. And I want you to understand that this is something that you don't understand. So the president is doing what he needs to do, and even if we have to tighten our belts with food, he's still working. He's still doing what he needs to do. Your job is to make sure that you take care of the local people, your city, your county, your state. It's that simple. As long as you're doing that, then we can go ahead and blame the president. But you cannot blame the president because of your incompetence. There is a big, huge difference. Your incompetence is destroying the local economy in your city, and your county, and your state. Bob Ferguson, the governor here in Washington State, he lied on his campaign. He was pro-police. He was going to bring, listen to this, oh my gosh, $100 million, he said. Listen, oh my, why are people so retarded? I'm trying to control my ADD here. Listen to me. He ran and said he was going to use $100 million to increase the police force. Fantastic. We need more police. Our cities are filled with crime. And we'll go ahead and touch up what the president's doing. Listen, we want that. We like that. We like that. Here is the problem. When he actually came into office, he did the opposite. Police department got nothing. And $600 million goes to laser hair removal and breast implants in prisons for transgenders. Tell me that makes sense to you. Tell me that's President Trump's fault. $600 million. Go buy a damn razor and shave your own legs, you sons of bitches. $600 million. New troopers. More police. More state patrol. Safer streets. Let me tell you something. There is an area in Everett. There used to be junkies drugging up every day. Not a single day I drove by this area. Not a single day I drove by this area and there were junkies just doing crack right in the open, smoking fentanyl. Guess who did something about it? President Trump. That's right. It wasn't the governor. It wasn't the mayor. It was Trump. And he put Kash Patel, and I know you don't like her, but Christian Noem. That's right. And they put ICE and the FBI agents to work together. Why? Because the cartel, the Sinaloa cartel, was working with American citizens and illegal immigrants. And they seized tons of drugs, cocaine, fentanyl, etc. I go by the same area. No more. Why? Because somebody is doing something to help us. But the local government gets no credit for this because they fight us every step of the way. And they tell you that you have a $9 billion budget for 4 years. And within 1 year, they spent it all. And the worst part is no accountability. We'll take a break because the wife is calling, and I'll show you this clip here.
Here. I called this today because there's just a lot of rumors going around about me, about my family. And, you know, unfortunately, this is not the first time. I did deal with the same BS in 2024 and 2023 when they ran millions and millions of dollars of smears against me, lied about my family, and to same damn people again, Carrie Lake, Chris LaCivita, bunch of political operatives, they couldn't do in 2024, trying to do again in 2026. So I want to make a couple of things very clear. Number one, Eric Swalwell lied to all of us. He lied to the most powerful people in this country. And they trusted him. They trusted him with some of the most sensitive spots in our government, whether it was on Judiciary Committee, Intel Committee, impeaching Donald Trump. And that clouded my judgment. My friendship with him, our family's friendship together with him, clouded my judgment. And I was wrong. I deeply, deeply regret that. The women that came forward are courageous, and they still deserve justice. But to be clear again, I also had no knowledge of predatory behavior, sexual assault, or harassment. And unfortunately right now, the same people that are attacking me in 2024 are using this horrible situation that's been thrown upon these women, thrown upon Eric Swalwell's family, and using this as an excuse to politically attack me, lie about me, and lie about my family. And I will not take that lightly. So with that, I'll gladly take any questions, because we're here, and I'm not going to let the same thing play again. We're not going to rush out, so don't worry.
Congressman, thank you so much. Swalwell have called you his best friend. You have never asked him about any of the rumors that have been swirling around Democratic politics of his inappropriate behavior?
I did. Look, we knew each other differently from everyone else. My family and his family were as close as it gets. Our kids were in baseball camp together. You know, we had dinner together as a family. It was entirely different, but I think what people understand. But when there was rumors going around a couple of weeks ago, not of the full extent what I read in the San Francisco Chronicle, I did ask him, and he lied to me. He knew that I just came off a very, very hard campaign for 2 years, where they lied about me and my family for 2 years. He manipulated me to have the same sentiment that I was having back in the day, and used as an opportunity to move me to defend him.
How did you not know about the allegations? So considering you chaired his presidential campaign, wouldn't some of this have come up? Some of those allegations predated when he ran for office.
Again, this man led a double life. He lied to us. He lied to his family, lied to his constituents. Some of the most powerful people in this country. You know, even before he ran, he was trusted with some positions that normally we would never think someone like this could do if they're leading that double life. And again, I was manipulated, I was lied to, and everyone else was too.
Senator, would you release any text messages you had with Eric Swalwell to prove your innocence here?
Anybody that asks, or any legal proceedings that need it, will get whatever they want, without a doubt.
You'll release all your documents?
Yeah, any legal proceedings, the ethics interviews, or if there's a subpoenas or anything else like that, legal proceedings, anything else. If you get sued, we'll release everything without.
I just want to understand when you called him in light of these allegations coming forward, and then when they did grow more serious into sexual assault.
Yes.
Did you call him again and ask your friend, did you lie to me?
No, I called him the day, a few minutes after I read that article, and I told him drop out.
Which article?
The San Francisco Chronicle article. Drop out.
And you didn't speak to him then when CNN put out reporting that was much more serious?
I don't remember the timeline, but as soon as I read about the San Francisco Chronicle article, like a minute afterwards, after I got off stage, I called him and said it's time to drop out.
What did he say? Is this true? Is this not true?
I told him to drop out. He denied everything. I told him you have to drop out. We'll start taking back too.
There was a video online that surfaced of Eric Swalwell making out with a woman sitting next to someone. Was that you sitting next to him?
This is an example of the lies. No, I was not sitting next to him. I was not in the room. I was nowhere. I don't even know where it happened. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Chris LaCivita and a bunch of other right-wing political operatives are pushing this narrative that somehow I was in that room with Eric Swalwell, and that is an absolute lie.
Congressman, you have future political ambitions. How can people trust you to run for higher office if you didn't know that your best friend was engaging in even inappropriate behavior?
Look, I messed up. I'm human. I trusted this man. I trusted him to watch my children. I would watch his children. He knew that I had just gone through the most bruising campaign where I was accused of being a mule for the cartel, where my kids were subjected to TV commercials about what an awful human being I was. And he knew how to prey on that. And I was a loyal friend to someone that just was not loyal to me.
And so have you spoken to the congressman since he announced his resignation?
Since I told him no.
Have you conveyed your feelings towards him?
Since I told him to drop out, I have not spoken to him, and I'm not convinced.
Just to be clear in your statement, because yesterday in your statement you said that the women who have come forward deserve to be believed. Do you believe them, or do you believe Eric Swalwell when he says these allegations are false?
Oh, I believe the women 100%, and they deserve justice.
What is it you believe about the women? Because you said you never saw these allegations.
No, I had no knowledge.
You have no knowledge of it.
Yeah.
So did you ever, what about any sort of position that he may have put himself in? Any compromising position? Was he drinking excessively? Was he around younger women?
Yeah.
Did you see any of that?
I didn't see that, but look, we all heard rumors in Washington, D.C. about Eric Swalwell for many years. And my family, again, was with him all the time, with his wife, with his kids. And we saw a different side of Eric that I'd never saw. And when I asked him about some of these rumors that were starting on the internet, a few weeks back, he also denied it and said the same thing, like the same thing they tried to do to you is in 2024 is what they're trying to do.
Congressman, you just said you found out about them.
One second.
1 second. Do you understand why people?
I know, I'll take somebody there.
Do you understand why people might be incredulous about that, given the fact that you guys were roommates for a time?
We were never roommates. That's a lie.
You chaired his presidential. You were close to him. You were best friends. Do you understand why people just might have questions?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is why we're having this press conference right now.
Congressman, can I just clarify?
I'm sorry. I'll take something, and then we'll take something.
Senator, are you worried? Are you having to explain to donors and to candidates that you have endorsed the stuff that you're explaining to us now? And are you worried that you could be a political liability for people who in 2026?
Look, at this point, all I care about is, number one, stopping the lies that are happening about me and about my family. Everyone else can make their political calculations. Fact is, this has been awful. It's been an awful situation for the victims. It's been an awful situation, again, for Eric's family. It's been an awful situation for my family. We've been betrayed. We were lied to repeatedly and manipulated for many years.
Congressman, can I give you an opportunity to clarify?
One second.
You said you were hearing these rumors for years. Did you push for any investigations, or were you only taking Eric Swalwell's word?
Look, again, we had a familial relationship. Our families were friends together. I, again, had heard rumors. There's rumors about people all the time here. And when you see people in power, in senior to you, that are putting them in these very sensitive positions, Intel Committee, Judiciary Committee, they trusted them to go after President Trump. They exposed them, to all this scrutiny. And eventually, especially when you have, again, your kids hanging out with his kids, you have, your families or friends, you just don't believe.
Well, what were the rumors that you heard? What were the rumors?
It was flirty. That was flirty.
And that was when? About what year was it?
I mean, that was through. We've heard that. We've heard that throughout.
Senator, you just said. Thank you so much. I want to clarify because in the beginning,
I know we'll go back there. Yeah.
In the beginning, you said when you first heard these rumors a few weeks ago, that's when you called him. Then you said you've heard these rumors for years. So which one is it, Senator?
So I heard rumors of him being flirty.
And that wasn't an issue enough for you to not trust him to watch your kids or be close with him?
Because, you hear this, and then when you're close to somebody and you know his wife, you see this. You see that relationship. You know that, it maybe just isn't true.
Have you asked him about it prior to this few weeks?
I asked him about it a few weeks ago when it started coming up online.
Why when you ask him about it if you're running his campaign, sir?
That she had no idea about these rumors circulating about him?
Yes, look, Speaker Pelosi has known Eric even longer than me. And again, she would never, ever put someone like Eric in a sensitive position like Intel Committee, which she prides herself being a former member of the Intel Committee. She would never put him on the impeachment trial and potentially get the impeachment trial of Donald Trump in trouble. She would never do that. She, like many of us, were lied to, were manipulated, and we're all dealing with the fallout of that. I'm sorry. Yes. I gotta vet friends closer now. This is again, let this man into my family. I trusted this man. And through some of the hardest things I ever had to deal with, I trusted him with my family. And it hurts. And it hurts the fact that he hurt a lot of people. And it pisses me off that now we all have to deal with all of his BS, his family, the poor victims that are still going to have to seek justice. And of course, this is a horrible situation.
What do you say to someone?
Do you have a
Sorry.
message for these victims of this?
Yeah, I'm sorry. To begin with, I'm sorry that we didn't listen closer, and I want to make sure you get justice. I know he resigned. I know he obviously quit the race, but that doesn't bring closer to them. And I want to bring them justice, and we'll be here to be helpful.
Sir, should you have acted when you first heard these rumors? Should you have acted when you first heard these rumors several years ago?
The rumors I heard were that he was just a flirty social guy. That's it. And when he was married and when we were together as families working together, I fell on the fallback that this is not the man that I'm hearing about. This is not the, when you're out with a man, when he is, taking his kids to baseball games, when you see them together, you start creating in your head, like, that's not the person you have. And again, I was lied to, and, it clouded my judgment. Our friendship clouded our judgment every time we went out to dinner, every time our families were together. We would literally pick our kids up from schools, from practice together. Like, this is not something that just happens overnight.
Did you ever
ask for people who are outside of Washington, seeing the online discourse, hearing the coverage that says, well, people heard rumors, even what you're saying, people heard rumors, but we didn't know how bad it was. We didn't know. I mean, what do you tell them as someone who's been a member of Congress for so long? We know that there are other people that are spoken about this way. What role do you take as someone who's heard rumors now? Do you think differently about former colleagues that you've heard this about? I mean, look, I think there's, we have to be honest with ourselves. Like, I think a lot of people in D.C. treat these kinds of rumors as just like part of the course of playing, here or something like that. And no one, ever thought that the accusations were of the nature that came out of the San Francisco Chronicle article, or even of harassment. But the other rumors were just as serious, and we should have figured out how to approach that. But the other stuff we just didn't know, and we have to
give you an opportunity.
So Congress rewrote the Congressional Accountability Act in 2018 in response to the Me Too movement. How is this man able to get away with this for so long and get so far in Democratic politics, even in the midst of the Me Too movement?
Well, it means that we have to go back and make that better, because clearly there's holes in this. Or number two, that we haven't created an environment through the legislation to make women, especially staffers, feel like they could come and talk to somebody and not have any repercussions. How did we get this far? It's because every time there was an opportunity, I think, for him to be exposed, it wasn't, and it just kind of kept on going. So 2018 happens, and then he's also on then quickly after that on the impeachment committee. He's on the district committee. He's on the intel committee, right? You have friends that have known him forever. You have, we had 20 members of Congress that supported him for governor. At some point, because there was no break, and because there was all these ways that kept on saying, well, if he did something, why would he be on this committee? Why would someone have brought it up? And I think that's what fed into it. But the legislation that happened after Me Too definitely has to go and be enforced, because clearly it didn't work.
Senator
Schumer about that. Keep working away.
Wall Street Journal. If you're saying that yourself and others didn't believe these rumors, then why was Swalwell's downfall so swift? Why did you call him a minute after? It would seem like you had maybe suspected that there might be some truth to it.
As soon as I read the article, and that, number one, first of all, that she was a staffer, that was done, right? So even before, everything else, but the fact that she was working for him, that right there is a reason you need to drop out before even anything else, because that was inappropriate. it was harassment. He had power over her. He had power over her career and her decision making. So even if I didn't believe everything else, that was true. We knew it was true, and that's why I told him you had to get out.
Senator,
and then you go further, and you see, medical records and multiple people. So that was pretty cut and dry to me.
Senator, you mentioned needing more changes in the wake of that 2018 change. I'm wondering what steps you have taken or will be taking in your own office to make sure that staff feels more comfortable coming to each other. Because we know part of the problem here is that there are 530 some offices, people all talk, and everyone is worried that if they bring an allegation like this to the forefront, they're not going to be able to get their next done.
Yeah, so I've been thinking about, first of all, we're going to try to get our staff together, kind of figure out what that is. But I do think there needs to be some level of independent, whether it's here in the Senate or in the House, there needs to be some other independent organization that is not employed by anybody in our office that gives, these staff, and it's not just women, staff, protection, whistleblower protection, as well as the ability to be able to go outside the kind of internal HR circles. And I think we just have to keep on looking at ways to keep improving this, as well as I think every office has to actually sit down with their staff and try to establish a attitude of like, if you feel anything, if you feel threatened, if you feel harassed, like here is who you should talk to, and here are the avenues to do that. But I do think, it is clear after 2018, after Me Too, after this, we need to have some level of accountability that is independent from these offices, or else I do think it will continue to happen.
Senator, you referred to...
We're going to keep working. That's, yeah.
One, just to clarify, you've never witnessed Swalwell commit an unfair
Well, move your hand.
I've not.
And second, do you feel like DC and the Congress, the culture around Congress and looking around, separation of spouses, does that foster an extra-security environment for sexual misconduct?
So he's not. His family lives here, so I can't speak about that. But I do think that there's an environment here that needs to improve, and that is, about members of Congress hanging out with their staff, and I think that creates a problem. And I think that is an environment that does kind of create this situation. Again, it's not the staff's fault. It's not these women's fault. It is his fault. It is the fault of people like him who have power and abuse it for whatever they want to call it, their benefit.
Senator, I want to give you an opportunity because you mentioned lies.
Don't worry, we're not running away, so we'll keep going.
Senator, can I ask you mentioned lies?
Right here, and then we'll go this way.
Have you had any discussions with Leader Schumer or anyone else in Senate Democratic leadership in the recent days about the situation, or do you plan to?
I've spoken to Senate members on the floor, and just started talking to them about what I saw, and then going forward about what has been happening more than anything else. And then going forward, I will be talking to Schumer and see if we would come up with any ideas, kind of like what I said, of like some level of independence to give, staffers and people affected an opportunity to go talk to somebody, because some of these people are also could be, the people that used to work for him or something of that nature. Yes, I apologize.
Thank you. No, thank you. You mentioned lies and rumors when you first came out to talk to us. Have you ever engaged in any inappropriate sexual misconduct or behavior toward your staff, other women outside of your marriage?
No.
I want to get back to your time on Eric Swalwell's campaign and furthermore his run for governor. As you know, every campaign does opposition research. So even if you heard these rumors, why didn't they raise any red flags?
So first, as I said before, I knew Eric totally different from everybody else. It's just the truth, right? Like when you break bread with somebody, when you are with somebody every day, when you go through some of the hardest moments of your life and trust somebody with that, you don't think about this other process of vetting, right? And that's what happened. That's exactly what happened. And then when he starts running for governor, and then stuff starts, percolating, he knew exactly what to say to me. It's like, this is the same thing that they were doing to you. And he knew I came off a horrible race where I had to answer to my family, I had to answer accusations to best friends, to my kids. And he fed into that. He fed into it, and I fell for it. Like everyone else, I fell for the lies. I regret it. but that's what happened.
Looking back at it, when you first heard these rumors about flirtatious behavior, should you have done something differently?
I think I should have talked to him about it. I think I should have told him, this is what I'm hearing out there. And I think, you should know about it. And if you're doing it, stop. I fell into the trap, again, because I think I was too inside the family bubble that I just didn't think it was that. And certainly did not think of, I never would have imagined it was to the point what we saw right now. Even, like we're talking about harassment of staff. I never would have imagined that. And I never heard actual accusations of harassment of staff or predatory behavior towards staff. It's just, again, when you're in with a family, you've known each other, you've gone through some horrible situations together, you let your guard down. I let him in. I let him into my circle and trusted my family with him, and I deeply regret it.
When you heard the rumors, was it people coming to you in hopes that you would talk to Swalwell about it, or was it just...
No. It was just like it's like Washington, D.C. There's just rumors all the time. They're just floating all the time. It wasn't anybody saying like, hey, I need you to go talk to this person because I know you guys are friends. And then also that is, I think that when it rises to that is some certain things, certainly some that I would do and other people would do too. But it was never that.
Senator, you...
Yes.
You said that you were considering running for president in 2028. Does this at all influence your decision whether to run?
Our full consideration is first about what the hell just happened. Number one, stopping these lies. And the reason I want to stop the lies is because my family just got off 2 years of tens of millions of dollars of them lying about me, lying about my kids, lying about my wife, and seeing it again start by the same people, the same political operatives, using this horrible situation that, victimized these women, made, I don't know what's going on with his family, but it's definitely a horrible situation for family. They're using that as a cover to attack me right now because they couldn't take back 2024 because they ran a horrible race. But now this is what they want to do. They just want to hurt me as much as they can. Presidents, everything else like that, I don't care. We're going to wait, and that's not even a thing right now. The most important thing is I want to protect my family. I want to protect my family's reputation, and this is why we're talking about right now.
Senator, you've gone on trips, on vacations, officially, unofficially. You've gone out, presumably, with the congressman. You've never even witnessed him, I don't know, engaging in an affair?
No.
Never.
What about...
No.
How do you explain some of the photos though online? I know you addressed one, but there is another one that shows both of you without shirts. I mean, how do you address some of those compromising photos?
We were on a beach.
Yeah,
I think you were in the desert and on some camels.
It was a beach and a camel, but it's a beach, yeah.
Were there instances of you guys drinking heavily, going out, partying? Did you do any of that with him?
Look, we socialized. We went out. But I never saw him engage in any of the predatory behavior, harassment, sexual assault, or even like anything that I would say would rise to the occasion that I would be able to, not talk to his wife the next day and be able to look her in the eye. So again, I trusted this man. And it's my fault.
So the flirty rumors that you heard, you've never seen him be flirtatious even?
Not outside the norm of just, talk. He was always a talkative guy. He was always, social. And certainly he was with men and women, but not to the point where I would say like, okay, that's crossing a line.
Have you talked to his wife? You guys were good family friends.
No, no, I'm not.
Your wife?
My wife did try reaching out, yes. Yeah.
How does your wife feel about all of this?
I mean, she's re-traumatized for a couple of reasons. Number one, we're living through 2024 again. Number two, our family feels betrayed. I mean, we had, our families were close and we let him in to his family and she feels betrayed. She feels hurt. She feels hurt, for his family, for the victims, and still, we hope that his family is good, but yeah, I mean it's It's just awful.
Can you say definitively that you haven't mistreated any female staffers along what the lines of what Julie asked?
Yes, I've never mistreated any female staffers.
Senator, you said he lied to you, he betrayed you. What's next for this friendship?
There is no friendship.
Do you plan on communicating with him?
No, absolutely not. When someone, it's not even remotely close. Like, if his family, if he's willing to lie to his family, and he's willing to betray, his family, his friends, his constituents, there is no friendship. There is no friendship.
What was your conversation?
Has this forced you to reconsider rumors you may have heard about other people in Washington? And separately, has it forced you to reconsider any behavior that you might have engaged with that might have been deemed by you as social, but that could have been interpreted another way?
Yes to all of that. I definitely look at the world in a different way now. I certainly am going to make sure that I'm going to take personal steps and office steps to make sure that we don't even get close to a gray line, because first of all, that's not who I am. That's not my character. My family knows who I am. They know my values, and I'm not going to allow that to happen. And I do think, that Washington, D.C. has to have a bigger conversation about how to continue to change the culture, because clearly we did not change it after Me Too. Okay, we'll take a couple of more. Yes.
I was wondering if you did respond to your wife, or whatever, text message, phone call, or you did give us any about what she said?
So she was, my wife was not able to talk to her. She talked to a friend that answered for her. And just the word that was described is that she was devastated.
What was your conversation like with Swallow, the last one that we had, and what did he say to you?
I was very frank. I said, you need to get out. Get out now. And he said, it's not true. And I said, doesn't matter. Get out. Go back to your family. Take care of your family. Because without talking to my wife, but just knowing how close we were, knowing his wife, I knew that it was just like any other spouse. If you heard this news, you would be devastated. And
when you say get out, you mean get out of the race or get out of Congress?
I meant just get out in general. Which just look, this is not a very formal conversation. It was someone who was I was trying to be as clear and direct as possible. And so it was get out of this, get out of the governor's race, get out of Congress. It was just like entirely get out.
Senator, why wait for the subpoena or to be forced legally to release those text messages? Why don't you just do it now, especially since you called for transparency surrounding Epstein?
Look, we have a lot of communications with people. I know for a fact, 100%, and that we have nothing to hide. We have nothing to hide. I'm being completely transparent and honest with you about what I knew, when I knew it. We're here to be open. We're here to answer questions. And, if we are told, we will comply with anybody else. But, there's nothing here to hide, and just exposing more and more is only going to ask more and more and carry this lies even further.
I know you said you feel.
Last
Last
one.
Do you expect more allegations against Swalwell to come out? Another woman came out this morning. These are very intense allegations. It seems like perhaps date rape drugs were used. Do you have any insight into any of this, and do you expect any more to come out?
I just don't know anymore. Again, this is a person that I knew was totally different from what I'm seeing right now. I think for many of us in Washington, D.C., we never would have imagined something like this. We never imagined, how far back or anything of this nature, or especially the seriousness of it. So I can't actually tell you anymore, because the person I knew is not this person. The person that I knew is totally different, and clearly this man has been leading a double life. So it's entirely possible. It just is. And I just don't know that person, and I can't predict what else is going to come out.
What's confusing is that there's so many allegations. More could come out. This is a lot of time that this man spent doing all this other stuff. The fact that people who were close to him didn't know the extent of it. So, I hear your explanation and that you don't know anything, but it's just really hard that there was no insight considering how extensive a lot of these allegations are?
He became very good at being a predator. And he clearly preyed on these women in different positions. And he became extremely proficient at lying to us, lying to his family, lying to his community. You know, the nature of his job allowed him to travel, and we just did not fully understand we just don't. There's just no way we could have seen any of this. It just, again, like, he lied for so long, led a double life. He was able to manipulate, was able to convince the most powerful people have known him for even longer than me, that there was none of this was going on, that the rumors weren't true. And after a while, you know, a lot of people just fell into complacency because the rumors never became true. And because, he went after Donald Trump on the impeachment trial. Our dumb political brains think like, well, that would have spurred something to come out. Didn't. And
but to
that point,
are there other members that you have heard rumors about that you might now think about talking to or acting on?
I think most of the rumors are people that are now gone. But now if I hear rumors going forward, especially if it's anything of a legal nature, whether it's harassment or that, I'm just going to go to the right authority. But if, going forward, if I hear of anything of that same nature in terms of flirtatiousness, I will have to bring it up.
No one comes to mind right
what
now?
about the formal?
No.
I'm not even asking for names. I'm just saying broadly. Does no one come to mind?
No one right now.
Senator, you posted on X defending.
What specifically are you talking about in terms of rumors? I mean, you don't have to give the names unless you want to say who these people are.
Past rumors of past members being flirtatious, and acting inappropriate one way or the other.
Senator, you posted on X coming to Swalwell's defense, essentially downplaying all of the rumors. Do you regret doing that?
100% I regret that.
Why did you send that tweet?
Again, Eric knew exactly what he was doing. He manipulated me. He, started telling me about this, these, influencers that are doing this new type of attack, and I believed him. And he reminded me of how it was very similar to the things that happened to me in 2024. And honestly, that was triggering. It was triggering for my family. It was triggering for me. And I fell for it. And because I didn't, there was not enough specifics, I just fell. And when he asked me to defend him, I acted like a loyal friend, unlike how he acted towards me. And I did it. And I regret it. I was absolutely wrong. I should have waited. I should have waited just wait to see what happened and just told them, hey, listen, I need to have more information. But I did it.
When this was first surfacing in terms of most recently, did you think that any of this was being pushed by any of Swalwell's Democratic opponents in the gubernatorial campaign? And then secondly, I know you feel betrayed and you're still processing all of this, but what do you say to people who feel, when they're listening to your explanation, you're playing victim here?
I'm not a victim. The victim are the women that he victimized, he sexually assaulted. To some degree, the victims are his family. And I think also his constituents that he lied to. I'm not a victim here. I am, however, being targeted by a lot of right-wing operatives using this horrible situation. And while I'm not going to, call myself a victim, I'm also not going to let them lie about me, lie about my family. These lies are actually extending not just to me, by the way. And that's why we're doing this. And I will not let them do that. Not again, like they did for 2 years during the 2024 election.
Are there any other members that you believe should step down at this time?
No, I don't know off the top of my head. I'm sorry. Okay, can I take...
Anyone else? Last call.
What about due process?
Let's not use last call.
Are you worried about due process not having happened yet?
I'm sorry, second.
Are you worried about due process? Are you worried about due process having not happened yet?
Look, to be clear, Eric made this decision to drop out himself. He could have taken the option of due process, going through an ethics committee, all that. What I worry about is what do the victims get? Do they get closure? Do they get justice? Because they're not clearly going to get it through the ethics committee now. He made the decision, and he's living with that he quit. He had the option of due process. He decided not to take it. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey guys.
Because I think it's funny that he said, "Please don't say last call." if you know what that means, it's just last call for alcohol. That's what that is. I think he was right to say, don't say that. Well, here we go. So I think that he is being honest. I believe him to a certain extent. I think he's being honest. He's definitely covering his tracks. He definitely realized that he put his trust in the wrong person. But as Brian mentioned here, what is crazy is, that's right, Jason is a mother freaking general, baby. He is the highest level of membership. I only got three generals in my list. But I really believe that a lot of politicians, this is one of the reasons why they don't want to do press conferences on this, and they rather stay quiet. They rather stay quiet and just kind of go behind the shadows with something like this, because just as I have said, thank you, Steve. Appreciate you, brother. God bless you and your family. I'm about to leave. I'll catch you later. Hey, I'll see you tonight. I thought you were gone already. God bless you, brother. Mount Cone. Finally, Mount Cone says something nice on the landscape live feed. He says we need term limits, and that's way overdue. Absolutely. But I believe that's why the politicians don't like to do press conferences, because then they start saying too much. And right now, he just confirmed to us that he shouldn't be in Congress, because he admits that he was too gullible. He was too naive to see that this pervert was right next to him, and he believed everything on him. I don't blame him. None of us can know if our neighbor is a good neighbor. Okay, none of us know that. But what I'm saying is the point of the press conference. Now he needs to step down, because if he was lied and manipulated so easily like this is a guy that was so manipulated and lied to that he allowed him to come into his house and babysit his children. I'm not saying that Eric is, the guy, I don't know. But I heard that the person recording the video in that hotel room was a minor, an underage girl. Allegations, hearsay. I can't condemn him for that. But the facts are that this information is out there and is real. And so anybody that goes and says, oh my God, they lie to us. Every single congressperson that goes out and admits to this is why they have to stay shut up. This is why they have to stay quiet. Everyone that goes out there and admits that this guy lied to them and they really believe them, they all got to step down. Every single one of them. But here's where I'm going to close in with this Eric Swalwell thing. I believe that everybody, and even those who hate me, that are trolling my channel, you have to believe and agree with me that every single congressman needs to be investigated. And I believe that the right actions of some of the representatives to bring up all the sexual harassment lawsuits out to the open, to the public, because after all, they were paid a hush money with taxpayers' money. And I believe that everybody should know who they are. And if there is any women out there or victims, well, maybe a guy, who knows? But if there are victims out there, come out and say something. This woman, she's truly courageous because she's showing her face. That's what I want. If there is a woman out there, okay, that has something like this about President Trump, as they've been investigating him and they've been auditing on all this shit for years and years and years, and nothing is out there, okay, against Trump. besides him being mentioned thousands of millions of times in the Epstein files. There is nothing concrete that links him to any wrongdoing with Epstein. With that being said, if there's a legitimate witness, a woman that says, hey, you know what, I'm going to go out there and testify. The woman that came out and tried to testify against him, she lied. She retracted her comments. She said, no, I needed some crack money. Just that ain't right. I apologize about that. Okay, we do have to have a heart for the victims. But the point is, guys, that they've been doing this for years and years, and nothing has happened. Nothing has come out as concrete evidence that President Trump is a pedophile. And that's just the way it is. Now, we're going to go ahead and put a pause button on the Eric Swalwell. I'm sure we'll continue to talk about it. We still got some time before I go pick up my wife. But I really want to hear, right now, I need to hear some sounds of sanity. I want to hear somebody's voice who is positive, straight to the point, and that is involved on looking after the American people. Say hello to my friend, Vice President J.D. Vance.
Oh, what a welcome.
You're welcome.
Hello, Athens. Yeah. I think that's their thing. I like it.
That is definitely their thing. So I've been to 2 SEC schools with Turning Point USA, and my Ohio State brethren are ashamed of me because I've given you guys way more love than my own alma mater, but it's pretty good to be in SEC country, I have to say. It's great to be here.
We can help fix that. We can work on that. So for those of you wondering why I don't have really flowing, long, blonde hair right now, so I'm going to address it right at the front. Mr. Vice President, I'm on stage here instead of our friend Erica Kirk.
That's right.
Because unfortunately, she has received some very serious threats in her direction, which is terrible. It's a terrible reflection on the state of reality and the state of the country. But it underscores a larger point that she has received a lot of attacks from surprising places, perhaps. Tell us what you think about that. Some of the people that have made, part-time jobs out of attacking Erica, and this is the net result.
Sure. Well, first of all, I love Erica, and I know that she did get some threats. And, about 2 hours ago, as you know, Andrew, I was a little worried that we were going to have to cancel the event because Erica was not going to come, and she was very worried about it. And I talked to the Secret Service, and obviously these guys do a very good job. And I said, you know what? Let's let Erica do what she needs to do for herself and her family. I'm sure Andrew will fill in. And let's go and make this an amazing event with the Georgia Bulldogs in Athens, Georgia. So absolutely, we're going to do this thing. But look, I mean, in so many ways, when did Charlie die? It was mid-September, I believe.
September 10th.
And in the past, that's right, it was the day right before September 11th. And in so many ways, the past 6 or so months have been 2 separate living hells for Erica Kirk. And the first is, of course, that she lost her husband, she lost the father of her children, and I'll never forget this because, I mean, frankly, I think a lot about it because my wife is now pregnant with our 4th baby, is when we went and picked up, thank you, but when we went and picked up Charlie's body in Utah, and of course you were there with us, and I met Erica, and I met the family. I mean, I met his parents and his little sister. And I just think about that moment and where she was so broken. And any of you know who anybody who's grieved before is you kind of go from just crestfallen and sad, and then you want to remember the person that you just lost. And there's just this constant flood of emotions, right? At one moment, you're laughing about something they said 2 years ago, and at another moment, you're sobbing because they're not there anymore. And I thought about that moment a lot because Erica told me, and that was the first time she'd ever told me this. And I guess I thought about it a lot in the context of our own, my wife's pregnancy. She said, I really wish that we had had more babies together. And
that kind of hit me like, it's just it, he's gone. That was sort of one of the moments where I realized Charlie's not coming back here. And you have this mom who's really sad about the fact that her two little kids may never have memories. I mean, you think about like as a father, I know most of you out there are too young to have kids, but one of the things that you think about as a father is, I want my kids to remember this moment, right? I want my 6-year-old to remember when I took him to the zoo, or my 6-year-old son was just baptized on Easter Sunday, and I want him to remember that moment with me, and thank you. But so Erica's struggling with this, and of course that's terrible, unspeakable. Most of us cannot even put ourselves in her shoes, while at the same time, she's trying to make sure that Charlie's legacy doesn't die. And in that context, everybody is attacking her over everything, and they're lying about her, and it's one of the most disgraceful things that I've ever seen in public life. And I've seen a lot of crazy stuff in my life as a political leader, and I will tell you that the people who tell you, I was there with her, I was holding her hand, my wife was hugging her while we loaded Charlie's body onto Air Force Two and said the Lord's Prayer, the people telling you that Erica wasn't grieving her husband are full of shit. And we need to be honest about that fact. Excuse my language. My wife says I got to work on my language. She's been telling me that for 12 years, and it still hasn't taken. But the thing is, look, when you become a public figure, the natural thing, and I've talked to Erica about this privately, is a ton of crazy people say a ton of things about you that simply aren't true. But the thing that makes it so egregious with Erica is that she's a grieving person who's trying to carry on her husband's legacy. And look, we all do things that are wrong. If you want to, criticize Turning Point USA for not taking this position or having this political disagreement, or maybe it should do this or that, that's all above board. But to say that Erica Kirk wasn't grieving her husband on that day, to say that Erica Kirk was somehow complicit in it, is so preposterous and so disgusting, and it's one of the things that has broken, I think, the American public conversation of the last 6 months. I mean, Andrew, we could talk about this for a long time. Charlie's absence, I felt it so many times in so many different ways. There have been so many times where I wanted to call Charlie and say, man, you've got to call this person, or man, you've got to put this event together so we can help this candidate, or just to bounce ideas off of as a friend. There have been so many ways in which I felt that void, but one of the ways in which I felt that void is that it's like the response to Charlie Kirk dying, the response to Charlie Kirk getting assassinated by a left-wing furry lover, is the response should have been, let's go after left-wing violence and terrorism. Let's defund the networks of left-wing violence and terrorism. That's what we've been doing in Washington, D.C., and that's what we've been fighting for every single day. Savannah Hernandez, of course, was assaulted in Minnesota a couple days ago. I talked to Kash Patel on the way down here, and I said, I assume that we're doing something here. And he said, yes, we've had multiple agents on the ground. We've already talked to Savannah. We're going to use the video to try to go after the people who assaulted her and then try to defund the networks that fund those radicals who are going around assaulting activists. That's what we should be doing. And I know that politics is hard, and I know that it's challenging, and I know that things aren't always easy, and we're going to have disagreements even within our coalition. But if you're going after Erica Kirk and not the people who are trying to destroy the United States of America, you're part of the problem, not part of the solution.
Yeah, amen. I think that's really well said, Mr. Vice President, and I always try and remember that Erica has to live with this constant reality that her kids are one parent away from being orphans. And so we take that extremely seriously. And as you mentioned, what happened with Savannah, and I think it's just important that we remember that we're dealing with humans. These are human beings.
Exactly. And I've heard some people say, well, Erica was smiling 2 days after Charlie Kirk died or something like that. And it's like, most of us in this room have grieved somebody that we loved. Maybe, hopefully not a spouse who dies in the prime of their life, but when you deal with somebody who's grieving, it's always this weird combination of emotions. It's intense sadness, intense affection. It's you sort of love that person in that moment, maybe more than you ever have because you feel their absence. You think about all the happy moments that you had and you can't help but smile, and then you remember they're not there and you can't help but sob. That's what grief is like. And so, again, if your instinct is to go after not the left-wing radicals who are assaulting Savannah, or not the people who shot Charlie Kirk, but if your instinct is to go after a young mother because she's grieving in a way that you find you find wrong, well, why don't you stay in your lane and mind your own business?
Yeah, amen.
Grief is complicated, and so there's another angle of this, Andrew, which is just so absurd, which is that people will say that Erica, she's been doing this or she's been doing that, and I would be doing something different. And it's like, first of all, that's fine. Like, if you want to criticize somebody because you have a disagreement, disagree with my politics, disagree with something that Erica or Andrew say on the Turning Point podcast, but this desire to go after her for the way she's grieving her husband, that's the most preposterous thing I've seen in a very long time, and I've seen a lot of crazy stuff in politics.
Amen. Thank you for saying that, Mr. Vice President. So I think this segues very well into our next question here. You are a practicing Catholic. You're, despite your language, you're attempting to be a faithful Catholic.
That's right.
I think it was well placed, if
Thank you.
I may say.
It.
I'm sure you've seen that the Vatican and the Pope and the President have been in the news lately. So as a Catholic, what does it feel like to be, in the middle of that?
I thought it was going to be an easy question. This is kind of a tough question here.
Nope, no easy ones there.
So here's the thing about this. So first of all, you will sometimes hear people say, well, the Vatican, the church, whether it's the Protestant church, the Catholic church, they should preach the gospel, they should ignore public policy. I actually don't agree with that. I actually think that it's a good thing when Christian leaders, whether they're Catholic or Protestant, part of preaching the gospel is talking about how the gospel applies to the issues of the day. So I've never been one of these people who say that you should never have, Christian leadership not talking about politics, or frankly, political leaders not talking about their Christian faith. But I do think that we have to remember that, each of us has our own role. I'm the Vice President of the United States. The fundamental way I understand my role is that I'm trying to take the lessons, the moral truths that are rooted in Christianity, and I'm trying to apply them to a whole host of complicated real-world scenarios. Thank you. So my job is to apply moral truth to try to do the best thing for the American people. That's my job, and that's the President of the United States' job, and of course, he's the person who leads our administration. The Pope's job is to preach the gospel, okay? And again, I think that sometimes in the context, it doesn't bother me, even when I disagree with him. And I have a lot of respect for the Pope. I like him. I admire him. I've gotten to know him a little bit. It doesn't bother me when he speaks on issues of the day, frankly, even when I disagree with how he's applying a particular principle. So the most obvious example is, it has frustrated me that some of the Catholic clergy have attacked mercilessly the Trump administration on immigration. It is a constant idea that somehow everything that the Trump administration does when it comes to securing our borders is inhumane. And my constant response to that is, how is it humane to allow drug traffickers and sex traffickers to bring little kids across the southern border?
Amen.
How is that humane? But again, I'd almost rather have the conversation. So I kind of like, even when there's disagreement, I like it when the Pope comments on questions of immigration. I like it when the Pope talks about abortion. I like it when the Pope talks about matters of war and peace, because I think that at the very least, it invites a conversation. So I think some people, their reaction to this is to say, well, he shouldn't have said that. And look, there are certainly things that the Pope has said in the last few months that I disagree with. Let me just take one very concrete example related to this conflict in Iran. So the Pope said something where he said, and I'm gonna try to remember the exact quote, but he said that God is never on the side of those who wield the sword. God is never on the side of those who wield the sword. I'm pretty sure that he said that exact that exact statement. Now, on the one hand, again, I like that the Pope is an advocate for peace. I think that's certainly one of his roles. On the other hand, how can you say that God is never on the side of those who wield the sword? Was God on the side of the Americans who liberated France from the Nazis? Was God on the side of the Americans who liberated Holocaust camps and liberated those innocent people from, those who had survived the Holocaust? I certainly think the answer is yes, and I agree. Jesus Christ does not. I agree. Jesus Christ certainly does not support genocide. Whoever yelled that out from the dark, he certainly does not. I think that's pretty easy. I think that's a pretty easy principle. Okay, so here's a guy. Let me just say this. This is a guy. No. First of all, random dude who's shouting. Can I finish my point and then I'll respond to what you just shouted? Is that okay? Okay, great.
Yeah, can we give him 1 second to answer this?
So let me just finish this question on the Pope, and then I want to respond to what this guy said. So, number one, when the Pope says that God is never on the side of those who wield the sword, there is more than a 1,000-year tradition of just war theory. Okay? Now, we can, of course, have disagreements about whether this or that conflict is just, but I think that it's important, in the same way that it's important for the Vice President of the United States to be careful when I talk about matters of public policy, I think it's very, very important for the Pope to be careful when he talks about matters of theology. And I think that one of these issues here is that there has been, again, hey, random dude screaming, I told you I'd respond to your point. I just want to respond to this question first. But I think one of the issues here is that if you're going to opine on matters of theology, you've got to be careful, you've got to make sure it's anchored in the truth, and that's one of the things that I try to do, and it's certainly something I would expect from the clergy, whether they're Catholic or Protestant. Now, to respond to this guy here, he said, I believe he said the administration supports a genocide in Gaza, and here's my response to that. When we came in, the humanitarian situation in Gaza was an absolute catastrophe. You know who's the person who got a peace agreement in Gaza? Donald J. Trump. So if you want to complain about what happened in Gaza, so if you want, sir, to complain about what happened in Gaza, why don't you complain about Joe Biden and the last administration? We're the administration that solved that problem. And by the way, not only was our administration like the administration that solved the problem, but the president. Excuse me, sir. Right now, you see more humanitarian aid coming into Gaza than it has any time in the past 5 years, because we have taken that situation seriously. And that's one of the things that I'm proud of about our administration, is whether it's there or Thailand and Cambodia, we have consistently tried as much as we can to solve these problems, not just complain about them like the guy who just ran away angry.
You know, JD, I'll never forget your speech at Charlie's memorial, and you talked about how your faith in the wake of Charlie's assassination has become so central to you. You talk about it more, and now you're even writing a book about it.
Sure.
Tell us about it. And what's it called? It's called the wake.
Well, it's called Communion, and I think the subtitle is Finding My Way Back to Faith.
Yes.
And here's why I wanted to write this book, Andrew, because I think that, like a lot of you, there was a point in my life. I mean, this is probably a much more Christian audience than maybe I was when I was a 22-year-old college student. I just gotten out of the Marine Corps, and I realized that I was sort of winning this game of life in one sense, and I was losing it in the way that mattered. And, I was raised in a Christian household. I was raised in a very sort of Pentecostal family. Our church had really good music and amazing people. And one of the things I love about evangelical culture in the United States of America is just how welcoming it is of everybody, right? And you know that. You're an evangelical Christian. And so the thing is, I hadn't been properly formed in my faith. And so I got to the Marine Corps, and by the time I left the Marine Corps and it was starting college, I called myself an atheist. And I kind of went through this period of being an angry atheist, and then I realized when I got to a point where I thought to myself, what actually matters in life? It's not getting into a law school, which I had done. It's not making a lot of money. It's not credentials. It's not good jobs. It's being a good person. It's, I'd fallen in love with this, thank you. I'd fallen in love with a girl, and that girl eventually became my wife and the mother to our now 4 children. And I remember thinking to myself, like, she doesn't care whether I make a certain amount of money. She wants me to be a good husband. She wants me to be a good father. She wants me to be a virtuous person. And I started to realize
she wants date night.
Yes, she does want that, which is hard when you're vice president of the United States. But what I realized is that the philosophy of secular liberalism, it was achieve, achieve, achieve. Get as many credentials, make as much money as possible, and that left me feeling empty. And meanwhile, it was this faith that I had discarded as a kid, which actually provided a real sense of meaning and purpose. And then I talked to a priest, and this priest was like, you know what? If you think that the Christian faith is right about all these moral questions, maybe it's right because there's a witness element to it. Like maybe the fact that it's right about morality and about virtue and about sin, maybe that means it's also right about the fact that Jesus Christ was the Son of God. Maybe it's also right that Jesus Christ died and rose from the dead on the 3rd day. Like maybe these things that appeal to you about the Christian faith come from the deeper truth of the Christian faith. And that kind of got me down a pathway of where eventually I was baptized and became a very devout Christian. And at this point, amen. Thank you.
Amen.
But I thought, first of all, a lot of people have asked me about that journey, and I thought, what better way than to sit down and actually force myself to write it out? I actually started writing the book back in 2017, right after Usha had our first baby, my son Ewan, who's now 8 years old. And so I've been kind of writing it off and on since then. And, a little bit Charlie's death, a little bit just being in the public eye, but mostly just I've been at this thing for 10 years, and I was like, it's finally time to get it out there. And so I put the finishing touches on it, submitted to the publisher a couple of months ago, and it's coming out in June. So, buy the book, Communion.
I love that. Not that wasn't also really riveting, but we're getting to the part of the interview that I'm really excited about. You are working on fraud. You're the fraud czar.
Yes.
How many bad guys? Yes, we can. How many bad guys are we going to get? I mean, that's the way there's a really nice framing of this question that I worked on. No. I want to know, what's the progress? Tell us about it.
Well, we've already gotten a lot of bad guys. And this is, one of the things I'm very proud about is that, people don't just want talk, they want action. They want us to actually go and arrest the people who committed fraud, and that's happening. We're starting to do that. Good. And that's a good thing. And a lot more is going to be happening in the future. But actually, who's been amazing on this is Dr. Oz, Mehmet Oz, who runs the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services, because so much of the fraud in our system is people who are defrauding Medicare and Medicaid. Let me just give you a couple of examples. So we have in South Florida, we have entire companies that sell medical devices. They sell prosthetic knees and they sell prosthetic hips. And you know that they've received hundreds of millions, some of them billions of dollars in government funds, and they've never shipped a single product. They're just set up by fraudsters, and there are so many of them, and many of them haven't. There are like over 100 of these companies that haven't shipped a single product. Okay, I'll give you another example of fraud. So this ridiculous situation with Somali fraudsters in Minneapolis, in the Minneapolis area. So you have a program that exists to help autistic children get the resources they need, to help their parents, find them a ride to school, or if they need after-school support, to make sure their parents have what they need. And that program has been defrauded by Somali fraudsters who will go in, who will say that we have 3 kids, every single one of them is autistic, there's no verification from the state of Minnesota, so that family will receive tens of thousands of dollars from the taxpayer. And then the autistic children in Minneapolis who actually do need those services, the money's not there anymore because it's been taken away by fraudsters. We've completely stopped the funding to that program, and we basically told the state of Minnesota, you don't get any more of our money unless you verify that you're taking fraud seriously. So we just turned it off. But what Dr. Oz, working with some of the people in our Department of Justice, found is that in Southern California, you had all these people who were engaged in massive fraud against the Medicare system. You had just tons and tons of people getting rich off fraud. And so we had our weekly fraud check-in call 2 weeks ago, and Dr. Oz called in, but he's like, hey, I got to go because I'm about to hop on the bus and we're going to go arrest a bunch of fraudsters in Los Angeles. And I was like, that's exactly what I want you to do. By all means, get off the phone. So we're doing a lot of that stuff. And I think one of the biggest things and the most important things we're doing on this, Andrew, is that there was sort of in the Biden administration, probably intentionally, but regardless, this attitude of if you were committing fraud of under $1 million, you were committing fraud of under $1.5 million, we're just going to look the other way. And the approach that we've taken in the last couple of months is no amount of fraud is too big or too small. If you're defrauding the taxpayer, you ought to go to prison, and anybody who's helping you ought to go to prison too.
That's great. I mean, I think this is one of the absolute slam dunk issues. How many of you guys out in this audience care about American taxpayers getting ripped off? Right? This is like a 90-10, 99-1 issue.
The guy who was shouting at us earlier, he doesn't care at all about people getting ripped off by fraud.
But, I think it underscores a bigger problem, right? Because there's a lot of young people in this room, okay? A lot of you had some very formative years ripped off as well during COVID. You didn't get to do prom.
Absolutely.
You didn't get graduation. There were so many things taken from you. And, you entered into the college years maybe with a really anemic workforce environment, inflation, historic, life's expensive. What do you tell young people right now that even right now they're wondering, what's the future that I can get? What's the career I can get? Can I afford to have a family, kids, buy a home? What's your message to them right now that have big questions ahead of their future?
I think my message to young people who are wondering whether they can afford a family, whether they can afford a home, whether they can afford, kids and the American dream is you guys have every right to demand more of your elected leadership, and my job is to make it as possible for the answer to that question to be yes. And fundamentally, the question you should ask your politicians is exactly that. Are you pursuing policies that make it easier for me to afford a house, easier for me to get a good job, easier for me to get a good education, and easier for me to raise my family in safety and security and comfort? That is the fundamental issue. And the thing that bothered me so much about the last administration, there are all these unique policies that I could sort of point to that were disastrous, and a lot of them were absolutely terrible, but so much of it goes back to housing and immigration and the connection between the two. Under the 4 years that Joe Biden was president, housing literally doubled in value. Meaning, if you're a young person trying to buy a house, it costs twice as much as it did before. And you layer on top of that higher interest rates. That's just in 4 years. Nobody can afford that kind of inflation in the housing market. And one of the biggest drivers of it is the fact that we let in tens of millions of illegal aliens. People who shouldn't have been here, who are taking homes that ought by right go to you and your generation. And so what have we done in the Trump administration? We've shut the border. We've kicked a lot of those people who have come into the United States. We've kicked them out of our country. And importantly, we have actually instituted a ban on institutional investors buying up American homes. Because I don't want... I don't want private equity firms, many of them backed by foreign money, to buy American homes. I want you guys to be able to buy American homes. And I will say, and I say this not to brag because I think you guys should be impatient. When a politician comes to you and tells you, I've done all these things, you should be asking, good, now go and do more. That's how I think of my job. I don't wake up and say, oh, we did something really good last week. I think to myself, we did something good last week, now let's go do more of it, or let's go do something different. Because maybe the statistic that I'm proudest of in the entire Trump administration is that over the last 8 months, rents and home prices have come down. Not stayed the same, they have come down. And what I think of as our ultimate ambition is that after another few years of this administration, of stopping private equity barons from buying up homes, from kicking out more illegal immigrants, from securing the border, what we're going to see is housing that is much more affordable, and then we're going to keep on building on it year after year after year, because the American dream should not be sold to the highest foreign bidder. It belongs to you.
Yeah. That's so well said, and a lot of the people in this audience will know that this is one of the issues near and dear to Charlie's heart as well, to make sure that you guys could afford the American dream, that we thought about you first as a country, and so thank you for saying it so well. Naturally, we have to ask about what's going on in Iran.
Sure.
So, but I just want everybody, I want to give the Vice President his due here, because you have been to Europe in the last week, then you flew back to the United States, only to fly back across the globe to negotiate in Pakistan, to come back, and somehow we called him, we're like, are you really going to come to Georgia? And he's like, I'll be there. So I want to give him a big round of applause.
Thank you.
I mean, may I just say, that's almost Trumpian level endurance. So, do you know what time zone you are, and how many hours of sleep did you get?
I have no idea what the hell time it is right now. And it's kind of good, actually, because you just run on coffee, and then you sleep when you can, you wake up when you have to, and you just drink a whole lot of coffee. And, you know, look, it's the job that I asked for, but yes, I will say, look, I think that, let me just say, you ask young people, and I want to make some observation, because it made me think of something, which is that young people in the United States, but particularly young Americans in the conservative movement, I think that we have a tendency to get too black-pilled. And here's what I say by this. We have a tendency to get too cynical, too pessimistic. Like, I'm sure that I've said mostly things that you agree with, and I'm sure that I've said some things you may not agree with, and you may not agree with everything that I say about the Iran negotiation, which I will get to answer your question. But here's fundamentally the issue. When you see a politician, or you see a political movement, or you see an administration that isn't doing what you want to do, I think you have two choices. You can say, to hell with those people, and check out of the process. Or you can say, you know what, I'm going to get more involved. I'm going to make my voice heard even more. I'm going to pressure that administration to do exactly what I want them to do, because they got my vote, they earned my vote, but they can't take it for granted. And I've seen some of this, you know, on various issues. Like for example, I recognize that a lot of young voters don't love the policy that we have in the Middle East. Okay, I understand that. I also know that we've secured the border. We've lowered housing prices now for 8 months in a row, and there's going to be more to come beyond that. We've made America energy dominant, which has lowered electricity costs and things like that. We've made it so that we have the lowest murder rate in 127 years. I'm not saying you have to agree with me on every issue. I'm not saying you have to agree with me on every issue. What I'm saying is, don't get disengaged because you disagree with the administration on one topic. Get more involved. Make your voice heard even more. That's how we ultimately take the country back. It's not by you, you know, if you get 5 things you want and 1 thing you don't want. I see way too many people, especially in sort of the online conservative, you know, Twitter sphere, who say, you know, there's no point. No. Because, or let me give you another example, the SAVE Act, okay? A lot of people want the SAVE Act. I want the SAVE Act. I've been fighting for the SAVE Act literally since day one of the administration. And I've seen a lot of people saying, what the hell's the point of voting for these guys if, you know, you've got 3 Republicans joining with the Democrats to prevent the SAVE Act from passing, or I guess 4 Republicans. And here's my response to that. Yes, it is annoying to me that there are only 45 or 46 Republicans who will fight politically to get the SAVE Act passed. But you know what? 10 years ago, that number was 35. So the answer to frustration is engagement. Don't give up on this process. Get more involved in this process and demand more from people like me. That's how we take our country back. I just think it's important to say that.
That's such a good point. How the Senate is such an example, as frustrating as it is, but you were part of that new wave of new thinking, of new energy, a new generation.
Yes.
And there's so many new voices that are bringing real change to the Senate. I mean, we're 1-2 elections away from maybe having it all the way around.
100%. And I understand people get frustrated at it. I get frustrated at it, but it's a lot better than it was 10 years ago. And frankly, 10 years ago, it was a lot better than it was 10 years before that. But here's where we are on, fundamentally, the president set a policy, Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon, and right now we are negotiating to make sure that very thing happens. And here's, what's interesting about this is, what's interesting about this is that we have this ceasefire that's in place. I think it's 6 or 7 days old. Right now, this ceasefire is holding. And what you're seeing is what the president wants to make, he doesn't want to make like a small deal. He wants to make the grand bargain. And what he's basically offering to Iran is very simple, and frankly, it's something that no president has had the ability to offer. He said that if you're willing to act like a normal country, we are willing to treat you economically like a normal country. He doesn't want a small deal. And that's one of the reasons why, one, I'd say in Pakistan, we made a ton of progress. But the reason why the deal is not yet done is because the president, he really wants a deal where Iran doesn't have a nuclear weapon, Iran is not state-sponsoring terrorism, but also the people of Iran can thrive and prosper and join the world economy. And that's the trade that he's offering. He's saying, if you guys commit to not having a nuclear weapon, we are going to make Iran thrive, we're going to make it economically prosperous, and we're going to invite the Iranian people into the world economy in a way they haven't been in my entire life. And that's the kind of Trumpian grand bargain that the president has put on the table. Man, we're going to keep on negotiating and try to make it happen because it would be great for the world, it'd be great for our country, it'd be great for everybody. So I'm going to keep on fighting to make it happen.
Yeah.
When your enemies, and even some, can you imagine Iran going from death to America to God bless America?
Sorry about that. I had to do it. I had to do it.
Just a few more, and then we've got a few
please. I know we have
here.
some questions from the audience, too.
My one question is, when you looked across from these Iranian negotiators, what did you make of them? Did you get the sense that they really were the right people? I mean, I'm assuming you guys know this type of thing, but...
Yeah, I mean, look, you never know. The United States had never had meetings at that level with the Iranian government in 49 years. Wow. Like, it's a meeting that had never before happened. Not Democrat, not Republican. We had never had a meeting like that where you have, the person who's effectively running the country in Iran sitting across from the Vice President of the United States. That had never happened. And what look, honestly, after 49 years, there's a lot of course, mistrust between Iran and the United States of America. You're not going to solve that problem overnight. But yeah, I think the people we were sitting across from wanted to make a deal. And I know the President of the United States told us to go out there and negotiate in good faith. That's what we did. That's what we're going to keep on doing. So you never know, though. Yeah. Right? I mean, I've sat across from United States senators that I thought I agreed with. And, you don't know with those people. Right? I won't say who. You can guess. But I feel very good about where we are.
Great. All right, so this is the last one from me. Now, a lot of people make a big deal about illegal immigration, and we should. It's terrible, right? And this administration has made historic progress on that issue. I think you don't get enough credit for it. And the problem with immigration, illegal immigration, is once it's not a problem anymore, our memories are about 6 days long, and we move on to the next thing. But what about legal immigration?
Sure.
And reforming it, correcting it, addressing abuses? Because I look around here and I see a bunch of American students that want jobs, that want homes, that want a space in this country. And I think reforming legal is so critical. Maybe talk about some of the reforms that this administration has done specifically on the legal front.
So this is exactly right. And this is 100%, I think one of the first pieces of legislation I sponsored in the United States Senate was effectively to get rid of the H-1B visa, because I cared so much about this when I was in the Senate. And yes, it is the case that Congress has not exactly come along. There, again, to my point about the United States Senate, there are far more people who are sponsoring that legislation today than there were 10 years ago, but it's not nearly enough to get it through. But just through administrative action, I don't think people realize this, the number of new H-1B visas is down about 90% in the United States of America. Like, that's something that we accomplished purely through That's something we accomplished purely through administrative action. And again, it's something I cared a lot about. It's something the president cared a lot about. So, there are other things too. There are ways in which, our visa system is taken completely advantage of. One of the biggest loopholes in American immigration, legal immigration policy, and I'll never forget my debate against Tim Walz where the moderator tried to fact check me because I said this person is an illegal immigrant. It's like, no, actually, they came in as an asylum claimant. And it's like, if you came in on a fraudulent asylum claim, you are an illegal immigrant, whatever the hell somebody from CBS says that you are. And the asylum process was, there were literally millions of people coming into the United States every single year on false asylum claims. We have those claims down something like north of 95%. So there are all of these things that you can do, purely through administrative action. But for us to really make this stick, look, as much as I don't want this to happen, eventually, hopefully 20 years from now, you're going to have a Democratic president who tries to undo everything that we've done on immigration. That's why we need Congress to codify this stuff. But right now, I'm very proud of what we've done in the Trump administration. Massive reductions in fraudulent visas, massive reductions in fraudulent number of asylum claims, massive reduction in H-1B visas granted. We're making a lot of progress. As I said to you, we want to make more. We're certainly going to make more over the remaining 3 years. But what that means, fundamentally, is you guys deserve to have good jobs. And I don't want, when you graduate from this amazing university, and it hurts me to say that as an Ohio State fan, but this is an amazing university. When you graduate, I think the guy who was screaming earlier, he's clearly a Michigan guy. Just put it on the table. Oh no, we have another Michigan guy over here. But
they did win the Natty. So
yes, that's right. But when you guys graduate from this university, I don't want you competing against a low-wage foreigner for your first job. I want a company to have to pay you a fair wage for a fair day's work. It's like common sense. But to do that, you really have to do reform of the H-1B and other, it's not just the H-1B, a number of the other visa systems. We made a lot of progress, but man, I would love a Congress. And you guys advocated. Ask yourself, you have a Senate primary going on right now. This is what I say about getting more involved. Every single one of you should ask those Senate candidates, what do you think about the H-1B visa? Would you co-sponsor the vice president, former senator's legislation to eliminate that program because it's basically just something that big tech companies take advantage of? These are the things that you guys have to do because I can't keep these politicians honest by myself. I need your help. It's a very big job.
Great stuff. So, thank you, Mr. Vice President. We have some questions. I believe we're ready for some questions for
let's do some questions for the audience.
Oh, right here.
Okay, there we are. Hello.
Hi, my name.
How about let's not and say we did listen to some questions from the audience. I will go ahead and replay the questions from the audience on my second half of the show. But as you guys already know, I have to go pick up Mrs. Herrera, my precious. It's waiting for me. I know that Robert likes to bring it up to my attention, and I appreciate it, but I really want to address a couple of those things, but we'll wait until after, we get the questions from the audience, and we'll talk about it. I want to say thank you guys for being here with me today. Thank you for the likes. Thanks for subscribing. Thank you for becoming members. Thank you, leftist visitors, for not going too crazy. Thank you much. My general, Jason Martin, thank you for all your hard work. Robert, Mike, we'll see you guys later. Brian, there's a couple of things that I want to cover. So just be back later today. I will try to come back as probably a little bit earlier today than I did yesterday, since I came out late this morning. As a matter of fact, I skipped the morning. I started in the afternoon. A lot of things, a lot of errands to do. I got a lot of things to do. I got to prepare here. I got to prepare that. Plus, I got to look good for you. You know what I'm saying? So, thank you guys for being here with me. God bless you. God bless your family. And God bless the USA. I will see you guys on the next one.